What's up, Duderinos? Welcome back to the Game Addicts Podcast, a show where we talk about the modern and retro video games that we play and collect. I am this podcast player one, Brando, and joining me here today is this podcast player two, Mike.
Hello.
And coming back to the show to round out the year is our podcast player three, Tyler.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
Absolutely. It's been a little bit over 10 episodes this time.
We had to give it a little bit of a break. I tend to ramble.
Well, and that's absolutely fine. We love having you. We want to thank you so much for helping us out so much this year.
Yes.
This will be our last episode of the year, episode 108. We will not be doing an episode next week for Christmas. We're going to be taking a little bit of break for the show. I'll be on Twitch, guys. I'll be playing games.
Isn't it weird that Christmas is on a Tuesday?
It
just feels weird.
On a Tuesday. But this year, of course, our normal record day is on Wednesday. Of course, you can check us out live on twitch.tv/GameAddictsPlay and on Facebook Live on our Facebook page. We do the show live each and every single Wednesday evening about 4 to 6. But next week, we won't be. We won't be live. I will be live later on that evening on Twitch playing games. I don't know what yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I may start, one of my favorite series of all times, but I've got a little bit of a backlog to play. I really hope my damn Switch grip gets here soon. I ordered a Switch grip from a company called Satisfy.
Not familiar with them.
They had a Kickstarter earlier this year.
I'm going to turn this way.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Get comfy. Definitely, because we're going to be here a while. This grip, you can put your whole Switch in it, and it is like one of them is like this, and the other one is like this, kind of like an Xbox.
Okay.
So it like ergonomically correct puts your thumb on that stick.
Okay.
Because the Joy-Cons, they are symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
They're up and down. So it's a little bit weird. It's not ergonomically correct for your thumb. But with that grip, it'll correct it. And from what I understand, you can just do anything and it won't let go of your Switch.
And they don't have any type of palm, anything
on the back.
It's just completely flat. So.
And then I also ordered from the same. So I got a bundle, a holiday bundaroo, and I got for $48. I got the grip, the case, and a USB-C cable, and you could put a power bank in.
Cool.
And then for $20, I got just a Joy-Con grip. It's the same kind of basic thing, but your Joy-Con slide in, just like the ones that comes with the system.
Mm-hmm.
And so for total it was like $70-something for plus shipping. It ships directly out of Hong Kong though.
Okay.
And the holidays have been. They had a holiday bundle with a red grip, but I have the red Joy-Cons from Mario, and I didn't want the red to be different reds.
Right.
So I went ahead and just got the black one, and I assumed they had so many holiday bundles that they were just trying to get through them all. Okay, Brando's order's finally ready, and I'm like, it's been like a week and a half, guys. So I got to wait for it to get here.
I want my stuff.
That was the first thing I ordered when I got my new stuff, and it's still not here.
Damn,
I know. But hopefully it'll be here. I will be reviewing it for the show. It would do. This week, guys, we will be talking about 2018 in review, essentially. This is the last episode of the year. We won't see you again until next. But we've had quite a year in gaming. A lot of ups, a lot of good, a lot of bad.
Maybe a little bit more bad.
It's easy to forget that in 2017, one of my favorite game series and yours had its worst game of all time, Mass Effect Andromeda.
Which we both agreed was actually not a bad game. It's not, just had a bad launch.
It had a bad launch, and it has bad pacing.
Yes.
It has bad structure. The planet structure, it takes you, like, if you want to do everything, like, that game's going to have you hopping all over the place. It's just bad layout. It's not a terrible story. It's pretty decent. But then this year, of course, one of our other big favorite franchises, Fallout, had its worst game ever.
Hands down.
Yeah. Which we're going to talk about a little bit more later when we get to the fails. But I definitely wanted to take, we want to look back through the year and look at some of the best games that have come out. Of course, some of the bigger games. One of the first games that we were really talking about, and both you and Blaine were on the show to talk about it because you guys are both super hyped for this.
Absolutely.
And Mike ended up getting this game as well. And that game is, of course, what am I talking about? I'm talking about Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter World.
Loved it.
It's fantastic.
Loved it.
So Monster Hunter World came out, and it is the highest-selling Monster Hunter ever. It's their biggest launch. It's their biggest, anything for that series from Capcom. So I mean, when you think about Capcom, like Capcom in the last few years have kind of been like,
hiding. I mean, other than Dead Rising, I mean, what really else were they doing? Well, besides the Mega Man stuff, obviously.
Well, and that just kind of restarted because like they gave up on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Inafune did Mighty Number 9.
Yep.
And they went, oh, there's an interest? Okay, I guess we'll cash in. But then they revamped Resident Evil. They revamped Resident Evil. Resident Evil 7 was almost like a new beginning, after 6
and
5.
Which 6 was terrible. I think
just picked it up.
I think anyone that is a fan of the series, I mean, 6 I think you can appreciate for Matt Mercer's voice acting because he does Leon very well, which I appreciated.
Is he in the new one, or like the remake of 2?
I don't believe so.
It doesn't sound like him at all.
I don't think he is. But 6 was terrible. I didn't even finish 6. I played about a quarter of the way through it, and I said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. The last Resident Evil game before that I played was Raccoon City.
No, Operation Raccoon City.
Operation Raccoon City, and I made the most out of that just because it was a Resident Evil game.
Mm-hmm.
But going into 7, I'll be the first to admit I was super. I was looking through blinders. I was ultra critical. I was prepared to overanalyze and basically shit on it.
Yeah.
Because it's an entirely first-person Resident Evil, and that's not, get off my lawn. That's not Resident Evil. And right. I loved it. I loved it from the moment I started playing until I finished the story. I never went back and played the DLC, and I might pick that up eventually if I can get it for like $1 or something. But it was a finished game. It was a well-written and well-planned survival horror story, and I mean, standing ovation for Capcom to pay attention to the source material and at least give the fans 90% of what they want and maybe a little bit more of what they didn't expect.
Yeah.
Right.
I liked how it brought in that fear back because that's something that they lost with 5. Like,
absolutely.
4 kind of still had it because it wasn't so much of the jump scares. It was like when you're trying to clear out crowds and you turn around, there's this dude with a big like those old like the hatchets or
a chainsaw,
and it's like right behind you, and you're just like that kept you on your toes. 5, I didn't feel that.
No, it was just action all the time.
And I mean, they tried because it's the same type of game. It's not like it was completely different. But then 6 lost that completely. Like it was all action, just like you said. But this brought that whole like what's behind this door. You're like slowly like.
See, I like the way that they had the opening of the doors where you didn't just open it and it opened. You could slowly move it,
or you could slam it if you wanted to.
See, I like that because I think that one of the scariest things for me in the new age, obviously for us when we played these games back in the day, was the loading screen door.
Absolutely.
Because you had the door and you're like, if you haven't played this game before, you're like, okay, what the fuck's behind this door? Like, what is behind this door? And this one, it brought that back where you could open and close, but I didn't feel they utilized it the way that they should have. It should have been like in this new Resident Evil 2 remake where I go to open that door. I can't see through that door, but I go to open it, and no matter what you do sometimes, something reaches to that door and grabs. That would scare the crap out of me. Or if you slam that door open, they come at you immediately.
Right.
Or you slowly open it and you can kind of sneak into the room and maybe get a sneak kill. That would be really cool dynamic. They didn't introduce it, but in that one it was just basically for noise. You couldn't sneak and kill any of those enemies.
Right.
in that one. But I feel like if they took that and added it to maybe, hey, we're going to make a Resident, quote unquote, or possibly already started 3.
Nemesis, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that a couple weeks ago, and I was really excited for that.
That would be awesome, especially introducing. Dang it, I forgot.
Nemesis.
Nemesis. Well, it's a tyrant.
Mhm.
Well,
It's another tyrant because Mr. X is the tyrant in 2.
Right.
But just to have that experience where Nemesis comes after you, like, you sometimes you have to open that door. And the same way with this one, because when Mr. X is on you, he's on you.
Have you seen the new video of him just stomping after Claire?
Oh,
She's like running through all these, like firing at liquors, and and looking at stuff, going through the menus, and you still hear like thud, thud, thud,
Yep.
thud, thud, thud.
Yeah. We're talking about 2018 reflection right now. And I can't wait for
19.
quarter 1 2019.
Oh, dude, it's such a good lineup.
And we're all gonna be busy. We're not gonna have time to play all of it immediately,
No.
or the funds.
Right.
I mean,
But like, we just totally got away. We just like we're really talking about Monster Hunter. 'Cause
Well,
you
but-
guys played Monster Hunter. I didn't.
we're talking about Capcom. So
Yeah.
And Capcom, I'm telling you, these last 2 years, they have turned Capcom around.
well, if you think about Monster Hunter and the point that I was ultimately long-winded style trying to get to.
Eh.
So when Monster Hunter World was announced, all the Monster Hunter fans in North America specifically were super excited because we're kind of the land that time forgot when it comes to Monster Hunter. Every Monster Hunter game, we've gotten either a watered-down version or a version that released long after what they received in Japan. So Monster Hunter World was released simultaneously worldwide.
Right.
Which that is Capcom saying, hey, we have an audience in North America, in Europe, in the Asian market. All these people want to play this game. Let's give them the same game and see what happens. And then Monster Hunter World becomes the fastest selling game in Capcom history.
Yeah.
Now it is the highest grossing game in Capcom history. So Monster Hunter World in 2018 broke 2 of its developers' records. No one expected that.
No.
I think Capcom was kind of prepared for it because they knew what they had.
Right.
Because there's this niche market of fans. I mean, you compare Monster Hunter to Mega Man, you're not comparing apples to apples, number one, but you're comparing, one of the most iconic franchises of all time to something that's just been popular, the last 15 years.
Right.
Well, now,
How many new people played the game?
Absolutely. And then you have the longtime fans like myself, Blaine, Mike.
Not a long time.
Well, longer than most people.
Well, actually, the only one I've ever played is Freedom.
Yeah.
And I only played that briefly.
That's longer than a lot of people, though, when
Right.
World dropped, is the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of picked it up because Blaine talked about it. I was like, all right, I'll pick it up because I picked up Final Fantasy World, I think it was. It's somewhere over there.
World of Final Fantasy.
World of Final Fantasy, yeah. And I really enjoyed that game. And he's like, well, that's pretty much Monster Hunter. I was like, okay, well, I'll pick it up. And I played it. I was like, it's okay. I'm having a little difficulty with the controls. They just didn't feel 100% there. And then Blaine bought 2 copies of Monster Hunter World. And he's like, hey, you wanna play this until she wants to play it? And I'm like, well, I mean, you're giving me a free game. Yeah, I'll play it.
Right.
So I started playing. I was like, shit.
They fixed the controls.
Shit.
They fixed every complaint that a Monster Hunter fan had, Capcom addressed it.
Yep.
And didn't just address it enough to kind of sweep it under the rug and just satiate fans. They made it better. They made it better than what we asked for.
Yep.
So
It was a blast to play. And then Blaine's like, hey, I need that copy back the next day. So I just went and bought him a brand new copy. Because he gave me a brand new copy.
Right.
So I felt, I only played it like 4 hours total. But I was like, here's a brand new copy.
But who would have expected Capcom to come out of the gate with something of that quality when we haven't really had anything the last couple years from them?
Right.
Exactly. And that was the whole point of like the beginning part of the conversation is how much they have been really steering this, like the ship back towards kind of gaining back. Because I mean, this has been said on so many different podcasts, not just ours, but so many other different people have said this. Back in the day, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have the ability to look up a game to see if we liked it.
Right.
A lot of times we had to rely on magazines if we could even get those. Or you had and I'm going even before demo discs. I'm going back towards like the NES and SNES days where you had to look at a box art of a game, look at the back of the game, or have previously played a game made by them.
Right.
You saw the Capcom logo, you saw the Konami logo, you saw the Squaresoft logo, and you went, I know this is going to be quality.
Yep.
And for a long time, people can argue that Capcom lost their way in the mid 2000s. They kind of shifted to that. Well, everybody in the States are just getting lost in this action, and it's like all our games need to be shifted towards that. And now it's getting to where they're like, no, it's actually more important to. And this is an actual quote from somebody at Capcom talking about the shift away from Resident Evil, like from 6 to 7, and they said 6 sold way better than 7 because that's just a fact.
Wait, 6 sold better than 7?
Sold better than 7.
Wow.
Now,
because people thought it was going to be 5 a little better.
Thing. It's more accessible to the average gamer.
Right.
That's why it sold better. It scored way lower. And they said we have shifted gears to the point of now it matters more to us to make a good game than to just sell copies.
Here.
And that is where they're going to get back their fans.
I'm going to bring this up. What they've done, okay, so they did great with Monster Hunter. We all agree that was what they needed to do. Then they turn around and E3 and go, oh, by the way, here's Resident Evil 2 Remake. And we're all like, oh, this has got to be right. You can't fuck this up. And here it is, to a T, what you asked for, what every gamer has ever said. Man, I hope they remake this game. It needs to do this. It needs to do this. It needs to do this. Okay. Well, what about this and this? Okay. Well, what about this and this? Okay. They just keep adding it. Adding it. It's like they're not. You want it, you're getting it.
Well, and it's not just Resident Evil 2. Out. It's Devil May Cry 2.
Yeah, Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah.
It's just
because that's coming out, and that's like people it took people out of like, wait, what? You guys are making it like. So you guys are forgetting about the little reboot? Yep. It's a sequel to 4.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about Devil May Cry 4, but in the series, I thought 3 was the pinnacle. That was the best game that they had made up until that point. Young Dante is just badass. Young Dante and Young Virgil, that story is just fantastic. And then you play 4, and you play as Nero, and it's like, okay, the story's not that great. But, it's a Devil May Cry game. And then you finish 4, and it's like, well, it's kind of done, They said they were done with 4. Yeah. They weren't going to do anything else.
They did the DMC.
And then they did the reboot, which I'm still, like, halfway trying to talk myself into playing it, because I can get it for free on Games Pass.
Yeah.
I think, anyway, or at least it's really cheap on Games with Gold or whatever. But then they say, you know what? We are yet again paying attention to our fans. There have been people since 4 released saying, we want to end this story. We want a sequel to what you started with 4,
Right.
Let's please. And they're paying attention. So I think that's the most important thing to say about Capcom is, like Mike said with Resident Evil 2, the remake, everything we want from Monster Hunter to Resident Evil to now Devil May Cry, if we ask for it as the consumer, they're not catering to every whim like, I want Dante to wear a top hat all the time. Like it's thought out and it's planned, but they're making very sound business decisions now.
Yes.
And I'm looking at you, Bethesda and Activision and EA, Konami.
Yeah, Konami.
You guys need to take a page out of Capcom's book and make a little bit more educated decisions.
Here's another thing with the Resident Evil is that they just didn't do what we wanted them to do. They also changed the dynamic of it. So you don't meet the liquor in the same room, but you see like a little sprinkle of salt of there's a dude with his face completely shredded. And it's like, well, you know what that is, so you expect it there. Now, I've watched the gameplay all the way through, so I know where it's going to be, but the way they do it, I love it. I
Yeah.
love the fact that the guy's like, look, you guys love this game because of its jump scares. You loved how it was scary. We don't want to give you.
Well,
the
and
same
2 had a
thing again.
fantastic story
It was
also.
awesome.
So
And I'm super excited for it because it's going to be one of those games where me and him have decided that one of us is streaming one, the other one's streaming the other, and we're going through the story.
yeah,
Because Resident Evil 2 is one of my favorite games of that generation.
absolutely. And it as a Capcom fan and a Dino Crisis fan,
Oh yeah,
it makes me really excited because with everything that Capcom's doing, there's a market for people that want Dino Crisis remastered. I would really like to see the second one come back and make a resurgence because it's a little bit more accessible of a game, but still having a good story and everything else. But yeah, Capcom in 2018, Capcom has done nothing but make me happy as a video game fan and hopeful, or not hopeful, just less cynical that not all developers are just shitheads that want to make money.
Right. Now, there's been a lot of rumors. Blaine is like freaking out about Dino Crisis. Anyway, so there's been rumors upon rumors is that something's going down at Konami. They've been dropping hints. It's like dropping like
Kanye wants to meet with Hideo Kojima.
Well, I mean, but this is like going like it's not even Kojima involved. This is like I'm trying to remember her name, Chris Zimmerman, the voice director, and meeting with Robert Atkins Downs, Masters,
Right.
Miller, not Master Miller, but not the original Master Miller, but Kaz,
Yes.
from Peace Walker and then from 5, and then also
Jesus Christ.
my voice is doubled for some reason. It didn't sound that way earlier.
Picking up on the other mic.
It might be. Yeah, when I'm talking, it's kind of coming in on his mic too. I might have to turn you guys down just a tad.
I mean, you can turn me down just a tad. I'm a loud fella.
Well, you see, now you two are on the same channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can always turn them up via hardline.
Mm-hmm.
Turn us up so that your main level's down. But
I turned
we're
you
up.
down a little bit. I'm gonna check it out.
How's it look?
I don't know. I'm gonna check it out. Anyways, yeah, something's brewing over there at Konami, and people were wondering if there was gonna be a Game Awards thing announcement. No, but like they were, Kaz was tweeting with, was tweeting with David Hayter, and it's like as he was in sort of in character tweet, it's like Snake, I've got a mission for you, and then Hater replied, and people are like, "What are you guys up to?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What you talking about?
And so I can only imagine, like, if Konami were to make a new Metal Gear game, now, but bring back Hater in, right? People are gonna go, "I don't trust you. I don't trust you yet. Show me what you got."
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, you and I have talked in detail about how we felt about Hader being removed from his role as Snake and Kiefer Sutherland coming in and taking his place. I really appreciated Kiefer Sutherland. I thought he did a really, really, really fantastic job.
I thought he actually did good for when he actually spoke.
But I think with that iconic of a character, I think you have to respect the source material, and you have to do the character and the franchise justice and let David Hayter continue to do it.
Right.
I think if I was Konami, I would remaster Snake Eater. That's where I would start. Because I think for me,
I like where he says that's where you should start because that's kind of where it all started.
see what I did there?
Blaine's giving you shit for how you pronounced Kiefer. It's Kiefer.
Kiefer Sutherland. I've heard it pronounced both ways. I'm going to
Kiefer.
say it how I want to say.
Blaine, shut up.
Yeah, get out of here, Blaine. Anyway, I think if you're Konami, you remaster Snake Eater, and that's kind of your plunge back into Metal Gear. Because if you do it well, if you do what Capcom has done with everything in 2018, you can show fans that, we understand that we stumbled.
Right.
Because a lot of Konami fans were just Hideo Kojima fans I mean,
Yeah.
There's a big portion.
That's true.
There's a big portion of that fan base that left with him,
Oh, yeah.
and then the ones that stayed and were hopeful got burnt out by Metal Gear Survive.
And they're all sitting there going, "The hell are you doing, Hito? What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
No.
So and then Konami shits out Metal Gear Survive. I don't really have a better way to put
shit
it.
out.
You
That's
know,
garbage.
maybe it was better than Fallout 76. I don't know.
I never played it.
I just watched enough videos to know that I didn't want to play it. But I think that as a developer, you have to acknowledge that you turned your back on your fan base.
Yeah, you have to.
And right here is your gold standard of not catering to your fans, but listening to your audience. Capcom's done it. Konami needs to do it.
I mean, because
There's no reason they shouldn't.
And that's what you need to do. Like with Bethesda, I get what Bethesda's doing. They started the multiplayer with 4, and they're like, "Nah, we don't want to put it in 4." But then they're like, "Well, we've spent so much time on it. Let's go ahead and release it as its own title." That's fine. You have no idea what you're doing when it comes to multiplayer.
Nope.
You're trying to make an online single player. So they tell me, "Yeah, Mr. Norris, you know that you can play this game by yourself?" No, you fucking can't. You drop a nuke. Dude, them Scorched Beasts are level 80. I'm 60. It takes me literally 500 rounds to kill one.
Yeah.
No. What do you want, Blaine?
No, Blaine's trying to hijack the show.
Blaine, you can't do that. Nobody really likes you. They only watch the show for Tyler.
Kiefer. Anyway, moving on from Kiefer Sutherland.
We need to let Brandon talk so he can see if he's doubled.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been trying to talk.
But
I'm sorry.
we
No,
get the
it's cool.
banner back and forth.
That's why I can only come back every 10 plus episodes.
Now we're waiting on you. Do you have nothing to say?
Did you just have an aneurysm?
Well, no, it's like 30 seconds behind. So, like when I'm trying to hear it, I'm trying to hear myself, and
I
it's
legitimately thought you had a stroke just now.
I was like looking at us like, okay, so we're quiet here on purpose.
I sound fine, Blaine, to me. Listen to this. It's going to be jarring because you're going to hear me talking, and it's not going to be what's coming out of there. Okay. It's really weird because I was looking at you while you were talking, listening to what you said like 20 seconds ago.
It's okay.
It's one of those things.
Sometimes it do be like that.
Right. Well, okay, so...
I can hear the echo.
Can you...
I can hear an echo.
It's slight. Is it probably from his mic? Probably?
Yeah.
Okay.
We know it's not from this one because we use it all the time.
Right.
My mic's powerful.
Is it powerful? All right. I mean, it's not a really big deal because I don't think it sounds that jarring.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, you can turn me down. I talk pretty loud.
Yeah.
So it's not doing it anymore.
It's not?
No, when you guys are going back and forth, I can't hear the echo anymore.
But if it's just him by himself,
yeah.
Okay.
okay, that's fair.
It is what it is. I mean, it's nothing that's too bad. However, you were talking about like companies taking a risk. You were talking about like Bethesda taking a sort of a risk and changing the game a little bit for Fallout. There's another developer that took a risk, and that was Santa Monica, Studio Santa Monica from PlayStation, and they took a risk by rebooting God of War this year. God of War came out and was a massive success for PlayStation.
Game of the year.
It won Game of the Year at the Game Awards. It won a lot of other Game of the Year awards as well. And to be honest with you, I was a little surprised by its win of Game of the Year.
Yeah, I think a lot of us thought that Red Dead, being especially released so close to the holiday season, and how fantastic of a game that ended up being. Arthur Morgan, that's all I need to say. I mean, that in itself would have beat a lot of other games of past years out for Game of the Year.
Best voice. He got best voice.
Yeah, yep. Very well deserved, I think.
It sounded really good. I mean, from what I played, I enjoy the game, but my thing is like I don't like Westerns like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's hard for me to really dive into a story like that, for me personally, but I do appreciate what it is, and it is, I mean, it's like the only one of that genre, but holy crap, is it phenomenal.
Yep. So, yeah, I totally expected Red Dead to beat God of War, But God of War earned its place.
I
Santa
agree.
Monica earned that award 100%.
They brought it. They essentially did their best at merging God of War with Legend of Zelda.
And a little bit of Last of Us.
Sure, absolutely, with their storytelling. Zelda, the reason why I bring up Zelda is because of how God of War was previously laid out. You went through area to area, right? And it looked and felt a certain way.
Yep.
In this one, you kind of have like a big open area where you can go to different places, almost kind of like your temples.
Right.
And you go to do certain things, and it leads you back to one area for you to go and do other things. And of course, since this is set in a different, within the Norse mythology, you can actually use the fucking Bifrost and go to different planes.
Yep.
Does it actually do the Bifrost?
It's a different setup than what you're thinking about.
But it does do like because it's the Bifrost essentially is like the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah.
Does it do the Rainbow Bridge?
I
it
mean,
doesn't have to do it exactly like
yes.
you do.
It is
So
a
the
bridge.
answer is yes.
It is a bridge.
It has to be a Rainbow
But
Bridge.
like
'cause that's
basically,
Yeah.
the building you're in is like static towards all the realms, and so is the bridge.
Yeah.
But you change the world around you, so you do end up going to like Helheim. That is like that part of the game. I mean, just so you guys know, we're going to be probably spoiling a lot of stuff. So if you haven't played it yet this year,
Is that where he has to go back and get the chains?
And that was
I do need to play. I'm probably going to.
that was such a powerful character moment for him.
that whole sequence.
Well,
That
yes.
whole sequence.
Because when he like realizes what he has to do, something that he finally tucked away, but never got rid of because
it's a part of him. It's a part of who he is.
Oh yeah.
and then he wears the bandages all the time over those scars.
Because he's ashamed of them.
Yes. And then
he killed his wife
And his kid.
and his kid with those. I mean, that's
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this because it's you have to go back to your house. And instead of making you run all the way back there and get it, you just sit down in a boat and it slowly takes you there.
You just ride. You just basically float down the river.
And the camera pans to him and zooms around him, and there's Athena. He's like in the boat with him. I'm like, oh, and there's that tie-in with the old games.
Yeah.
You're just like, they did something awesome with the storytelling. Another part of it is the story is going one way, and it's the character relations between Kratos and his son Atreus is one way until Kratos finally tells Atreus what he is.
right.
And then Atreus changes and becomes cocky. He becomes like you hate this kid.
Yeah.
But he just found out he's a god. And he's like 10 years old.
You're a
Right.
god, boy.
So what is he what else? He's like I'm unstoppable. I'm a god. He needs to be humbled. And that whole part of that arc changes a little bit. And what the game still has with it, those big epic boss fights with big creatures that are like way bigger than him and they can stomp him with one paw.
Yeah.
Those are still in the game.
Well,
But they're
you
much
can't
more
take that away. It's a God of War game.
I know, but that's what I love about it is that
Did they have at least one fight with a Titan?
With a Titan?
With a Titan.
Not with a Titan.
well,
With a giant. Like one of the actual Jotunheim giants.
it's different because you're in the Norse mythology and you're dealing exclusively. The only tie back to the old stuff is him,
Athena.
and then the blades.
Okay.
And Zeus.
And in Helheim, he does.
You see a vision of him fighting Zeus.
He has to relive it. And then
I was
Atreus,
gonna say he killed Zeus.
Mhm.
So it kind of just does like that little scene.
and
where
then
he's-
then Atreus hears and sees it.
Take it back
But
to
when
flame.
he see that just that whole sequence is so powerful because you see Athena and the way that the visuals are, the way that the story's going, is it Kratos actually seeing, is Athena's spirit actually there, or is it just him kind of reflecting on that boat ride?
Knowing that he's going back, and when she said, "You'll never escape these chains," and I'm getting goosebumps. thinking
But
about
yeah, and I am too. But so that whole sequence, you don't know if that's real. They end up in Helheim more than once. And there's a sequence where Kratos, because in Helheim, you have to relive mistakes. You have to
Right.
you have to view mistakes that you've made throughout your life over and over and over again. Kratos sees him fighting Zeus, his father, but you don't know if Atreus can see it or not. The way that it's shot, the way that it's told, the way the dialogue is, you don't know if Atreus can see it. And then maybe an hour later, they talk about it, or, it's a little bit longer than an hour. It's a couple hours. But later on in the game, it's brought up again, and fucking Atreus saw it. So it's just powerful stuff. The whole game, it is in your face from the moment you start till you shut it off.
He gets to see his own father's mistakes, to know that his father, who he sees as this big, unstoppable, powerful beast, is not infallible to mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And it humanizes him for his father. And he's like, okay, then, he's been so tough on me. And I've been like, I'll never be able to live up to him. But he made mistakes too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really cool dynamic. And really, I think I appreciate it more so because I have a kid.
Absolutely.
Even though he's not at that age, but it's that bond that you can appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it is also very telling, and we mentioned this here on the show before, how Shuhei Yoshida tried the game out a few months before launch, and it was not up to par.
Right.
It was unplayable. In fact, he was like, my God, what have we done?
You monsters. But they did it. They did it through hard work and determination. Corey Barlog, from the launch of the game, pretty much up until now, he's released a lot of interviews. He's had a lot of one-on-ones with a lot of people, and he's talked about the trials and tribulations. And, him coming back to Santa Monica was kind of like the prodigal son returns anyway.
Right.
He's got a really interesting story. And then one of the interviews that I watched, he talked about how every game development that he's ever been a part of, it was in line. Like, you're going to work on this after they get done with this, and then someone's going to work on their part after you get done with your part. And through the development of God of War, it was literally every area, every department working on stuff at the same exact time.
And then them having to make it work.
Yeah, and they really struggled with the over-the-shoulder perspective, that fixed camera perspective.
Right.
They really struggled with that. He said that was, when they set out to do it, there was a lot of people in their development team that said it's impossible. We can't do it. No one can do it. No one has done it right. And they did it. They just did it through working really, really hard.
What did he say before that the game was literally unplayable 2 months prior to launch?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was the last 2 months where they got it working.
Yeah, prior to Gold.
Gold. Well, and Gold was not too long before launch.
Mm-hmm.
Like they struggled to get that game out and to get that game up to par. That is why when Corey got the reviews back, he broke down into tears.
Yep.
Because it was like, can you just imagine knowing that where you had been just 2 months ago, and then you worked, okay, it's working, and then you put it out and you just go,
God, I hope this works.
Please, God, be good. Please, God, everybody love it.
He goes, I think we did good. I know we did good. Just, I would be a nervous wreck.
Absolutely.
And then when you get tens, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, it's like, oh,
thank God. That's what you're thinking in your head. Thank God everybody likes it.
What was their sales in the first 3 days?
Oh man,
it's like 30 million copies.
It wasn't that much.
No, it was 3.1 million copies in the first 3 days.
It was the highest selling PlayStation exclusive ever until Spider-Man.
Yep.
Spider-Man did beat it, which ironically is next on the list. But just to close out on God of War, it's not easy to redefine a game.
No, absolutely not.
It's not. I mean, as much as this still is God of War, it's a different experience. 100%. This game does not play like the others, and that's why it stands out. It makes it more. They added more elements of RPG. They added more elements of Legend of Zelda.
Right.
But the core of God of War, what it is, the big epic moments and the big soundtrack, those are still there.
Mhm.
I remember watching you play and that snake moved,
Mhm.
and I was like,
Oh, the one from like the big serpent.
Jormungandr,
yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, tell me you fight
the
him.
world serpent.
No,
Tell me you fight
no.
him, but you don't.
What are you talking about?
The world serpent, where like he talks to you, he's like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't fight him.
no.
Well, when I'm watching it as not ever seen, this is completely new to me. I'm watching, I'm like,
And he's
It's
just in
moving.
the background moving. He's like, wait, what?
yeah, it's just like in the background, it's moving a little bit. I'm like, wait, you're gonna have to fight him, aren't you? Like you're gonna have that. Usually that's what happens. You're
I
gonna have
hadn't
to fight
yet
that
beat
guy.
the game.
Okay.
So I couldn't say yes or no. I'm like, so far we're cool.
Yeah.
But it's neat because when you're cruising around in the boat and stuff on the lake, he'll occasionally just randomly talk. There's a little bit of banter there.
And like Kratos can't understand him.
Yeah, Kratos can't read and he can't understand any of Jormungandr's language.
But the boy can.
Yeah.
Read it, boy. And then
Oh, that's what you were doing before, where you were learning bits and pieces of the language.
what does it say, boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that was the whole at the Game Awards.
Yep.
And the winner is Read it, boy. And then everybody lost their minds.
Yep.
As I smack my mic. Awesome game. Totally worth the pickup. It was on sale. It is on sale. It is 100%. This is a must play for any PlayStation 4 owner.
I would buy a PlayStation for that if I didn't own one.
I bought a PlayStation for it.
You bought the God of War.
yeah,
I
you
did
did.
it
I'm
for it.
still really jealous of that.
I absolutely love it. And you know what? I bought it because I just needed a new PlayStation. Not because I wanted it, because I was very like, I don't know. I've never loved God of War, even through the other ones. I've enjoyed them, but I've never loved it.
They were never like this.
No, this made me love it.
Yep.
And this next game, which I already said what it was, redefined what games can be for this character. Spider-Man. Marvel Spider-Man on PS4.
I like the way you immediately look at me.
Well, because he hasn't played it.
I haven't
know
played
he
it yet.
hasn't. He's going to play it over Christmas.
That's
Do you have it?
a Christmas gift. I know I'm getting it.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, take it.
I will have in a couple days. I'll have it.
I was
So
gonna say, take it. If you don't
What's
have it,
really
take
cool?
it.
What's really cool? You guys both played Monster Hunter. I didn't. I mean, you played God of War.
he didn't.
He didn't. Me and him played Spider-Man, and we're about to gush on Spider-Man.
I am ready. I
and-
got my popcorn.
And I will honestly, for big stuff, I'm not going to spoil them just for you, because
Appreciate
I
that.
want you to experience it.
I spoiled something for Jeremiah. I'm so sorry, Jeremiah.
Are you really
You
though?
beat the game?
When I told him.
Oh,
about,
before he beat the game.
yeah, he was like right at the end. And I was
Have
like,
you guys played through the DLC yet?
I have not.
I haven't either.
Okay.
I have not. But I mean, I know there's a big uproar right now over there not having having the Sam Raimi era costume, which I really don't care. They give you enough costumes.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
There's a ton of great costumes under. What I also like is that the costume he wears in the game is not the costume he starts with.
Right.
He starts with his regular old school suit, and then he ends up getting this new suit and making it as like an upgrade.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't break myself from not wearing the old suit because
suit?
it was just.
I actually like the new suit. I thought it was pretty
It was
cool.
Spider-Man, like I couldn't get rid of it. I was like, it's perfect.
What I will say is that no matter what suit you wear, he wears it during the cutscenes. So
Yeah.
it's very like flowing with whatever you're doing.
He wears the
Current suit.
suit that you were wearing before the cutscene started.
Whatever suit you have equipped is in the cutscene.
Okay. That.
So like
I dig that.
If
I
you're
dig
going
that.
around as Scarlet Spider and you said I'm not changing from Scarlet Spider, he wears that the whole
Scarlet Spider's my favorite.
The steam. I like the steam. Well, the look.
The
of
steampunk one's cool
It,
too.
Scarlet Spider's cool. I always thought the Scarlet Spider should be a female.
Hmm.
I always have
Ben
thought.
Reilly?
No, not the character. I just the name Scarlet Spider
Yeah.
in my mind has always registered as should be Gwen's name for her version in that the
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Verse instead of Spider-Gwen. I mean,
And actually,
Cool.
she's Spider Woman now.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
guess because that new movie just came out this weekend. It did very well.
Yep.
I'd like to see that. But
No,
this
okay,
game, me. Okay, this game took Spider-Man 2 and did everything right in this new era. It basically said Spider-Man 2, you get the randoms, all that stuff that you used to do. Boom, let's just make it now. And it's the swinging is so fluid. Oh my god, you can you could do some crazy stuff where you could shoot around the building, and then you could shoot to another building and flip flop. It's Spider-Man.
That is the first and foremost thing I will say. There have been good Spider-Man games in the past, but this is the first one that really got the traversal right.
Yes.
It makes it. Case in point, when you played the Arkham games, it was very key that it felt like you were Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing goes for here. It's very key that you feel like you're Spider-Man.
Right.
Not even from a fighting point of view. First and foremost, traversal.
Mm-hmm.
And Batman...
You got to be able to web sling.
In Arkham, he's kind of big and tanky, but what can he do? He can swiftly get around with his bat grapple, get up on top, move around, glide. You can play, and you feel like you're Batman.
Here's the thing for me with the Spider-Man is that it's not just you web swinging around. He does all the acrobatic stuff that he does, the random flares, like when he does the 2-pull yank where he launches himself, he'll do the torpedo, which is from the cartoon.
It's actually in it where like if you go too close to a thing, where like a tower, like a thing that has like a thing, he'll dart himself right through it automatically.
Yeah, and he'll automatically do, and then it will zoom in and get close to that movement.
Oh, I
and
dig
then
that.
He'll do the slow spiral as he traverses through it.
It's also, if it gets ugly and you kind of do like a bad swing, he'll kind of do a bad swing. Like if you're trying to get around a building, like and you kind of smack the building, it'll kind of like make him a little wonky.
Yeah.
But if you're holding down the button, you never stop moving because it's fluid with him running along the wall and everything. And then you can run. You can end up learning how to like run and boost yourself up with a jump, and then make it to where like you need to be here, you need to be there, and you can just never really feel like you've never stopped moving.
So
Cool.
in that game, I only fast traveled 2 times.
I did a couple times because it was
the subway stuff is cool.
God, he'll be on the subway, like looking at his phone,
In his suit.
and there's a dude sitting there reading the paper, just going.
And then there's one where he's on there and he's talking to another dude in another Spidey suit, and it's just like, hey, what's up, man? And it's like the guy has no idea that that's the real Peter Parker. Like that's Peter Parker.
Man, I dig that.
It's very. They did such, and they took. What I really enjoy about this is that they took this story that they created from scratch. It's their own thing. They took bits and pieces of everything, and obviously of the animated series, and really pulled that into it. But they made it their own by doing a lot of drastic stuff. There's 2 massively drastic stuff that I was like, you can't know. And they made this story feel like a Marvel movie, a Marvel comic book, and a Marvel TV show. All in one. Like they did a little cameo with Stan Lee, like, you 2 have always been my favorite. It's like,
He's a short order cook.
yeah.
He just like.
And the original person that did Spider-Man is a cook. I can't think of his name, so somebody's going to be mad at me. Yeah, I'm going to look that up.
There's only 2 games that I've ever played that have the ability to fast travel, and I've chosen not to use them. And the first one was The Witcher 3, because that environment was so beautiful. The second one was Red Dead Redemption 2. I did not, the entire 60 hours that I played that game, I didn't fast travel once.
So they did change Mary Jane. She's not a model or an actress.
I remember you telling me
She's
this.
a reporter, kind of like Lois Lane. So it changes her dynamic. She kind of gets herself in trouble. There's also moments where, this isn't really a spoiler, you play as Mary Jane, and it's stealthy because she can't fight.
Right.
But it changes. There's also the mini games where you doing puzzles. That mixed with you playing as Spidey, mixed with you actually playing as Peter, mixed with you playing as Mary Jane, it weaves in together to tell this awesome freaking story that they have created from scratch. They took from the comics. They took from the movies. You're going to see a few things in here that actually remind you of the movies, but it's not 100%. Because it's just like with the Arkham series, and they took everything and made their own Batverse. They're making their own Spider-Verse. And Marvel 100% said, do it. Take risks with this.
I mean, not that my opinion really matters to game developers or just artists in general, but I am a fan. If I had the ability, I would encourage developers to look at what Insomniac has done with Spider-Man and take some creative take some intelligent, creative liberties.
Mm-hmm.
This is your material. Obviously, acknowledge the source material, but if there's a direction that you want to go with something that's not like Peter Parker is an astronaut,
Right.
I mean, put your own creative spin on some stuff, and you never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. There's also a lot of cool Easter eggs.
That's what I was getting ready to do because I just looked at one.
It's right there on the picture that I have pulled up. It's Spider-Man taking a selfie, and where's he in front of? The Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah.
So there's another one is that he has a little thing where he gets the lawyer's business card. It's Daredevil's business card.
Yeah.
This lawyer randomly just came up to me, and I thought he was blind, but he knew who he was.
Yeah. Well, he's like, that's a blind lawyer. Like, I should really stop by there sometime. He said that he asked if Spider-Man could use a good lawyer. Give him a call. He goes, wait, he was blind.
Yep. Yep. And that's awesome.
And so it's like a little, So there's that. There's Avengers Towers in there, so you can find it. And
Damage control is in there, which is Stark's business for control over after New York's attack.
You can also the logo isn't on there, which I don't know why, because Sony owns it or owns the property rights to it. Ghostbusters Firehouse is in there.
Really?
Yeah,
But it doesn't say it.
It doesn't have the logo where he's like that, or, the ghost logo. But if you look at it, you go, yeah. There's and all that stuff is stuff that like you find, like the locations. You just have to find them, and you just go around, and it doesn't tell you, hey, you're here. It's actually like you're encouraged to go find locales, and it'll tell you, oh, this is that. Or you go find backpacks, find little props.
Little collectibles.
Like an early piece from his mask, or a menu from A First Date with Mary Jane, or the business card. And all that helps build in the entire world as a functioning Marvel. It's everything is within the Marvel universe.
I really, really love games, books, media, any type of media that has in the background storytelling. So
I haven't found that one yet. Wakanda.
I have found the Wakanda Embassy, yeah.
Dragon Age, the banter that they did in Inquisition.
Yeah. Yep.
There's been a lot of games recently that have done that very well.
I can't find it.
So the in the background storytelling, I'm a big fan of. So you guys have just continued to make me more and more excited to play Spider-Man in about a week.
Wait till you play it, because it throws you a really good curve. It throws you a lot of good curveballs. The end of the game, like literally the very end of the game, I put my controller down and said, you have to do this. I don't care what happens with this game. You have to do what you just showed me. Plain and simple. If you don't, I swear to God, I'll never love you again.
Okay. So when you go to the theater and you go to see, to experience a Marvel experience, what is one thing that you now know to expect?
A fantastic cast, and after the credit scenes.
There's
okay.
2.
All right.
And the one...
There's a mid-roll and then a post-roll.
Okay.
And both of them are going to leave you going,
yeah! So what we failed to mention for the last game we talked about, it also had a post-roll.
Oh! I completely forgot. We're going to go back to God of War for a second.
A little time travel here.
The post-roll on that, because I've already told you what it is.
Yeah.
I've already told you exactly what it was. That...
Thor.
Oh. I can't wait till the next one.
I'm really... When God of War... When we all finished playing it, because we all finished playing it around the same time, that was during the time that Corey was doing a lot of his developer diary stuff.
He also did a really long spoiler cast, too.
And people were asking him, where does the franchise go next? And there's a lot of stuff in the game that sets up about 5 other... I'm just going to say 5 other worlds that you could potentially be in. So Japan's one, Celtic Ireland's one, Egypt's one, and then there was another one that I can't remember.
Thing,
yep, yeah. There's another one that I can't remember. But he said, a big reason why Corey pushed for Norse mythology is his wife's from Scandinavia, and she's very in touch with her her heritage
Yeah.
and her culture and you know where her family's come from, and Corey's very proud of that. So he really wanted to highlight that culture in this
what
game.
was the name of the Norse god that was like the traveler and seer?
Tyr.
Okay, so Tyr, you actually find his vault, and it has stuff from all these different civilizations.
Tyr was the Norse god of war, and he traveled to those 5. I'm just gonna say 5. It was Greece. Greece was the 5th one.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, he's already been to Greece.
Yes. Well, they've been. Yeah. So there was 5. It was Greece, Japan, Celtic Ireland, Egypt, and then where they were at. That was the 5th one.
See Celtic Ireland and Egypt.
Yeah, Egypt was cool, but
Japan would be cool, but
so Tyr was the Norse god of war, and then
Right.
he traveled to all of these other civilizations, all these other worlds, as they call them in the game, and interacted with their culture.
Brought back pieces of it as a state of collection or anything like that.
In his vault, and in the game, Tyr is on the side of Jotunheim. He's trying to protect Jotunheim from Odin. So I won't go too far into that, but basically throughout Endgame God of War, you are taking Tyr's mantle. Basically, you're becoming him. So in the next game, I don't know where we're going to end up. I would be really happy with Japan. I would be really happy with Egypt. Celtic Ireland, I think, would be a little bit too close to where they're at with Norse mythology because they're so hand in hand. They're almost identical.
But it could be like a good little stepping stone and so close.
Absolutely.
But also you got to think is like even if we go to a new locale, we've also stirred up enough crap, especially with Thor showing up, that anything that's going to follow us.
Because in the game, you kill Thor's sons.
Yeah.
Thor's sons.
Thor's thumbs?
Good God.
Sore thumbs.
I was staring into Mike's eyes, and it was kind of like it was like staring at a boa constrictor. I was just getting in a daze.
Oh, yeah.
About to wrap me up. Anyway, but yeah, that end credit scene. I mean, you know what it is when it's starting. You know
The lightning crackle.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
boom.
the moment that scene starts, you know, and it's like, man, you took down like a B Squad god and his nephews. Like, what happens when Kratos challenges Odin? I mean, Kratos took down Zeus, but Mimir, one of the best companions in all of video game history, in my opinion. I mean, he's a fucking talking. Excuse my language if we can't cuss on here, but
fine. Go ahead.
He's a talking head, and he has fantastic dialogue and the mocap. Or the performance, whatever you want to call it now. I'm still going to call it motion capture. But of his facial expressions, and I mean, he's a talking head, and he's as compelling of a character as anyone else in that game.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I mean, his banter.
It definitely changed the dynamic because at first it's just the two, and then it comes up with Mimir, and he is like such the like comic relief.
He's comic relief. He's also
insightful,
dramatic relief. I mean, there's a lot of very high tension situations that he interjects in, and it's like, man, if he wouldn't have said something right now, I don't know if I would have wanted to keep playing for another 5 minutes because this is just like on the edge of your seat stuff. And Mimir chimes in, and it lightens the load a little bit. And towards the end of the game, the beginning of the game, Kratos refers to Mimir as head. He will not call him by his name.
Shut up, head.
Yeah.
Quiet, head.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is throughout. And then towards the end of the game, as Kratos softens a little bit and his bond with his son becomes what it is, he's also bonding with Mimir. Towards the end of the game, he's looking at Mimir as more than just a sentient head. I feel like, anyway. But yeah, I definitely...
As an actual companion.
As a friend, almost, some would say.
Huh.
If he could have a friend.
If Kratos could have friends, I think Mimir would be one. Because Mimir also... Kratos saved him from his torment, I mean, yeah, he's a head, and he's dead, and I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it did.
He did.
Mimir, I think, through spending time with Atreus and Kratos, they're their own little family unit now at that point. It's like Uncle Mimir is, hanging out on Kratos' belt. So I didn't want to get too far back into God of War, but that after credit scene is too important not to bring up.
It's true.
So as we before we switch over, I just want to say Spider-Man is doing tremendously well as a PlayStation exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And is now one of the highest selling, if not the highest selling PlayStation exclusive of all time.
So before we go away from Spider-Man real quick, I want to ask the question, if you are a developer in modern gaming right now, looking at what Capcom's done, looking at what Sony has done with their first-party exclusives and their single-player experiences, how can you in good conscience ignore it?
You can't.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're EA.
Some of the biggest games this year have been single-player narratives.
Mm-hmm.
And they are selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Remember, but, as well, 2 years ago, EA, single player games are dead. It's all about multiplayer. Let me tell you what, buddy.
I've really loved the banter from Sony the last couple months, highlighting their single-player experiences and their first-party exclusives.
Yep.
I saw a tweet from Sony the other day that said, this is what our fans want. And until they don't want it anymore, we're going to keep giving it to them. So
you can't argue with their year.
No, you can't. Sony won the year, in my opinion, hands down.
We're going to get there towards the end when we start grading, but I'd be hard-pressed to disagree with you. The other side, Xbox. Last couple games have been PlayStation exclusive. This is Xbox exclusive, and I definitely wanted to highlight it. I definitely wanted to bring it up. Forza Horizon 4. I'm not a racing guy. I think that's no secret. I have not been a racing guy.
Were you ever a racing gay?
I played a lot of Need for Speed back in the original
Yeah, you did. Throw some spoilers on stuff.
Exactly.
And some spinners.
But I kind of got out of it getting into the PS2 era. I played some on the PS2. Never really played much after that. And through the magic of Xbox Game Pass, Forza Horizon 4 was day one release.
Right.
I downloaded it that weekend and played it. And I love it.
Mm-hmm. It's great. It's fantastic.
It is absolutely it was shocking to me, how much I'm this reminds me of the old school Need for Speed, but with the amount of fun that I'm having, it definitely is new school. Now during the Extra Life stream, I tried to map it out. Okay, we're gonna play some of this. We're gonna play some of that. And one of the first games I said we're gonna play is Forza Horizon 4 because this guy's a big racer guy, Mike. Mike loves racing games. He has played a lot of racing games. So I wanted to see what his opinion was, because if it's going to make a guy like me who's not really into him go, this is fun, what is it going to make him say? And Mike, what did it make you say?
Well, he never got the controller.
I never played during that session.
Never even touched it. I just went. And I love one of the comments he made is so when Mike started playing, I had 20 seconds in the lead. I now have 20-some minutes.
There was there's a stat as how long you were in first place for.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, because I'd only been playing it for a little while, I had a total of 20 seconds. And I'm not very good at the game.
Okay.
I can get top 3 sometimes. I'm not even sure if I've ever won a race in first place. Maybe I have. Now I know I have now because of this guy. But no, yeah, by the time he was done, he put another 6 minutes on top of that.
I think that's the beauty of a good racing game. Some would call it a racing simulator. Call it whatever you want. A good racing game, you don't have to win every race to have a great time.
So here is one of my biggest, I really like the game, moments is it's open world.
Mm-hmm.
Pulls me right back for Need for Speed Underground.
Yep.
But you can traverse through the country of London. You're driving through London. England.
You could have said the London countryside.
Yeah.
The London countryside.
But you're just going through, and it's got the old rustic buildings and stuff, all stone. I'm just flying through there, trying to stay on the road, and Blade literally chimed in right when I face planted a tree. He goes, Cameron needs a car like that.
No, Jacob needed a car like that.
But I was playing it like that, and as I'm just driving around, going to each one, damn it. In my head, I'm going, damn it. Okay, I want an Xbox. It's oh, well, it's available on Game Pass. It's now available on PC.
He said, is this on PC? I said, yeah. He goes, all right, I'm getting it.
Yeah. That was it. It's fun. you could still, one of the biggest things about the Need for Speed games or any of the racing, Gran Turismo sport, okay, I love Gran Turismo. I love it. I love it. I love the game, excluding the fact that you do nothing to the car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a big long discussion about that. I think earlier in the year when I was on the show, we talked about Gran Turismo pretty hard.
I love it. It's not fun that way. Like, I want to be able to do my cars. This is what it's supposed to be with the open world aspect.
Well, our generation specifically, we grew up with. Man, I mean, I remember I had a lot of racing games on the 64. I had racing games on PlayStation, of every variety. I had a jet ski racing game.
Wave Race?
Wave Race.
Yeah.
I had Wave Race. I had like
Jet Moto.
Yes, Jet Moto.
Take note. I think that could do with a PSN remaster.
Absolutely.
Like, just put it out digitally. Don't put a whole bunch of money into it.
Yeah, just freshen it up.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to see that game remade.
Oh, absolutely. But we had racing franchise after racing franchise. I mean, you had like the ATV Off-Road Fury franchises, which did very well for the time.
And they had an open world aspect that was a blast.
Absolutely.
Do you remember? Was it Smuggler's Run?
Yes, on the PlayStation 3.
Or was that? I want to say it was an early PS2.
I thought. What am I?
I think
thinking
there was
of?
one on PS3.
But yeah, I remember it. I know what you're talking about.
Find out.
But so, like for me, I'm especially with Gran Turismo and the amount of time that I spent in all the Need for Speed games. Underground 2, Most Wanted, Carbon. I spent a lot of time in Need for Speed Carbon.
I spent a lot of time in Most Wanted.
That's
the original Most Wanted.
Yeah,
the original Most Wanted, not the new one.
Right. I'm really, really critical of racing games now because, I mean, say whatever you want. I think if you've played games the length of time that I have on every system that I have, and I know both of you have,
PS2.
We've played a lot of racing games, whether we wanted to or not.
Did you play this at Game Pass?
Yes.
Okay.
That's how I have
that
it.
one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So.
That one, right?
Yep.
All right. So they have said that even with Game Pass, this is the highest selling Forza game they've ever had.
Oh, absolutely. I believe it.
And with the Game Pass, this is more players than that they've ever really had engaged in playing. So this is doing great stuff for the studio.
You're going to be invited. The whole setup of this is to put a racing sim right here.
Yeah, count me in. Sign me up.
I'm going to buy I have the chair. Obviously, you're in it.
Yep.
And then I'm going to get the stand for it. And I'm going to set it up to where we're sitting there. And that is designed to where it slides out to the very front of the desk. So you'll be under the desk and you'll be sitting there. And
I'm not wearing any pants, but I'll be there.
well, that's okay.
Okay.
That's
all right.
Why would I say no to that?
Right.
That's just me going, okay, you come over a little earlier before everyone else. And
Shift a couple gears, take a
Yeah,
couple
right.
hot laps.
So just a month ago, Rockstar hit us with Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes.
Actually, it was almost 2 months ago, at the very end of October. And this game did so well. It far exceeded my expectations.
Absolutely.
As far as how many copies it sold. Okay, so I picked up the original Red Dead Redemption, I would say a little bit later than I was going to. I remember Rob ended up getting it. And I watched him play it, and I was like, I'll just play it when he's done. Because, we were roomies, why not? Why do I have to go buy it? And then I was sitting there one day just rocking. I wanted to play it, and he wasn't done yet. So I looked at the wife and said, I'm going to Walmart. She goes, what for? I'm like, buy Red Dead. She's like, I can't play it. I can't play it yet. I want to play it. She's like, so she rolled her eyes. She goes, let's go. So we went. I picked it up. And I love the original game. I thought it was great.
Well, the original game was not just great for its main story experience, but the Undead Nightmare DLC, some could argue, is the greatest DLC that's ever been released.
It's fun. It's
so much fun.
And, all right, so with the second one coming out, of course, there's a lot. It got delayed. There was a lot of hype over it. It looked fantastic, right? It's a prequel. I'm excited. And then they broke their sales of the original game within 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
that the original game sold 15 million copies in 8 years, and Red Dead Redemption 2 sold like 17 million copies in 8 days.
8 days.
8
That's awesome.
freaking days. And there's nary a bad review for this other than the review bombs. Now, do
Those
I
are
think
literally just people doing it to be
sure.
People
Now-
being assholes to be assholes.
I have actually seen almost every single bad review, and I read a bad review, and the dude really shat on it and was really he brought up a few valid points because I do think that the controls for the game aren't exactly perfect.
But that's a Rockstar game. I have
Right.
never played a Rockstar game that has any controls that are better than Red Dead 2.
Right.
I mean, that's their control scheme. They're all clunky and hard to use.
When they work right, they're great, and then you're gonna have issues where the dude just all of a sudden is jumping over your cover, like, "What are you doing?"
Or you're accidentally shooting people in the face.
Yeah, that thing.
I mean, it happens.
But they did something with this game, and some people say that they overshot it, that they just put too much. I was talking to a coworker, and he said there's just too much maintenance. He goes, "I like the game; it's a good game, but I shouldn't have to go brush my horse or take a bath." I'm like, "You don't have to." I'm like, but to me, that's part of the immersion.
Yeah, it's all immersion.
And I really, dug that. I dug every single night when I would get done playing. I would go and
Sorry, he was chewing on his cord.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was sitting there watching him chew. I looked down and he was chewing on it. I was like, "You little." Sorry, I apologize for disturbing you.
every single night when I would get done, I would go grab a cup of coffee and walk around the camp. And I would hold my coffee. And I would say something to somebody.
Hey, how you doing?
And, how you doing, Bill? And then sometimes there might be a little bit thing if you had done something with that character that adds just a little bit. And after he's done, I walk away. Because you can get like 3 or 4 sips out of your coffee before he tosses it. And I walk over to somebody else. I might sit down at the fire. And just sit there and sip on the coffee.
I did that with the stew.
Stu?
I would get a plate of stew and then just wander around the camp. How you doing?
Have you seen
Easy
any
girl.
of the videos of Sounds Like Pizza on YouTube?
Yes.
That he just uploaded a new one last night.
I haven't seen it.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, he is he cracks me up.
He sounds just like him. It's
Done
great.
shot me in the face with a carbine. I done been lassoed.
Easy girl.
Easy, girl, easy.
Lenny.
Is that you, Lenny?
Lenny!
So what I will say is
Hi,
that
Patty.
I really feel like the Rockstar as general, between the Grand Thefts, between everything, this is the best story that they've ever told.
Absolutely.
It had me so engaged. It's a long story.
But it's worth it.
But it never really ever once felt drotting because you're involved with there's so many. It's like an ensemble cast of characters to do stuff with and go do this, go do that, and then just when you're like, all right, what's next? And then,
I've got a plan.
I've got a plan, and then everything kind of like falls to shit, and then you got to pick yourself back up.
I've got a plan.
It's always goddamn train. I loved these the story starts here and just very slowly starts going slope, not in a bad way, but as far as their luck and everything, and as far as things going bad for these characters, and it just keeps getting worse upon worse upon worse upon worse, and how each character deals with that situation and how they respond.
Did you see the Sean romance? Did you ever see that?
The Sean romance?
Mm-hmm. You know Sean, the Irish guy?
Yes, of course.
What's the big-breasted woman in camp?
Oh, Karen.
Karen. Him and her get it on at one point.
Do they?
Look it up on YouTube.
I'll
You
have to
can
look that up.
like the guy that I watched recording it. He like walked up to the edge of their tent and then listened to the whole thing, the whole exchange, and then Sean stands up, puts his clothes back on, and goes to open the tent, and he goes, "I can't do an Irish accent, but it's like, what the hell are you doing there, you creepy bastard?" And then Karen starts, ribbing him, but apparently, like, that's just a fragment. Like, there's a whole Sean and Karen romance.
That's awesome.
But like, just the camp sequence, like, when I started playing it and I got that tutorial area is a little rough. It is a
long.
little bit rough and it's long. But the whole camp system, I was like, wait a minute, I can't fast travel? Like, until I upgrade this thing? Like, that's kind of weird. I mean, it's a Rockstar game, so I get it, but I like convenience. I like to be able to fast travel. Wait, I actually have to go up and talk to these people? Like, and then just the more I was immersed, the more I engaged myself in it. I mean, I did the same stuff that Brandon did with the coffee. I mean, it was little stuff too. Like, there would be times that I would get on and I would say, okay, I'm only going to play for 30 minutes because I've got something to go do. And I would chop wood for 30 minutes. Or I would, carry bales of hay for the horses. And, I would feed my horse and I would brush my horse and just all kinds of stuff. Like, I would take trips into any of the towns, any of the stables, just to, buy food for my horse and maybe do a horse grooming package because I didn't have enough time to groom my horse for 30 minutes, kind of like this. I don't have time to do this for 30 minutes, Patty. I'm sorry. And
he's like, but how about on this side?
But what about over here? Easy boy. But there's so many rewarding moments through that game, and there's so many emotionally crushing moments that it is a little bit of a slog. I mean, the mood from the tutorial definitely carries through the rest of the game. It is a little bit slow paced at times, but it's never not worth it.
No. Any game that elicits the emotional response, that by the time you reach the end point of the game, of this game, you should definitely be emotionally invested.
Absolutely.
And there's something I think I might have mentioned already on the podcast, but we've talked about it, the big camp life. Everybody's talking, everybody's sitting around a fire, sharing stories, maybe even singing songs. It felt like a family.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, what did I say earlier? It's all about how many things go wrong and how the people respond to it, and how there's this rift within the camp. It's slowly dividing into two separate sides. And near the end of the game, when you go to camp, you visually see the certain people who are on certain sides setting away from each other, but with their separate groups. And one thing that I really loved is that when you're walking around camp before, you'd hear people talking, or you'd hear like something.
People be playing guitar around the fire and
like
just
that.
having a good time.
But when you get there, there's like, I likened it to The Dark Knight. When every time you saw Heath Ledger's Joker on screen, sound-wise, they made this slow little hiss, and it just slowly just raised it up in volume as you watch the scene, and it raised your tension. They do that for the camp scenes because you're walking around, you hear this dum 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 dum, and you're like, and it just like sets the tone for what this is right here. You're walking around and you're like, I'm gonna go shave, so you're like, wow. And then you notice it, the rift, and John and Charles and Sadie are sitting over here. Bill, Javier, Mike are sitting over there. You're like, oh crap.
God, I mean, I'm glad that you brought up Micah, and I'm gonna do my best not to ramble here, but
douchebag.
He is one of the greatest. He's one of the greatest iterations of a character in any media. That the moment that guy comes on screen till the game is done, I just hate him. Like, yes, absolutely.
There's a T-shirt where you can go on TeePublic, and it's fuck Micah.
Yeah.
And
like that guy is just a douchebag.
Yeah.
The whole, and it's Arthur is what you make Arthur. He's either an outlaw or he's a hero. And you get fully immersed into that one way or the other, or you can kind of skate down the middle.
To interject, what I like is that, yes, you can kind of make him how you want, but what I like is that when he starts off the game, he is not really a good person.
No, he is a piece of shit.
He's in there. He is definitely in there. And what I like about the game is that, the whole tagline of redemption, the whole game of the first game could be considered redemption. John's redemption. Arthur's doesn't come right away.
Nope.
It comes later.
And I'm glad.
As he starts reflecting on himself. And did you ever get the talk about his kid?
Yes.
Did you ever get the talk about about the girl, like the girl's mom, or like his kid's mom?
No.
Okay. Arthur's kid, Isaac. He impregnated
A waitress.
A waitress. She was 19. And, I mean, he couldn't be with her for his life, his lifestyle, what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But he would go see her and the kid every couple months, stay there for like a couple days. He'd bring money. He'd bring stuff. He'd support them. And he loved that little boy. Boy was innocent. And he came back one day, and there were 2 crosses outside.
Yep.
And they were murdered for $10.
$10.
And that messed with him so hard. And that's also a storyline reason why he never accepts any sort of advance from any woman.
Other than one.
But like he can't bring himself to do that emotionally again, and to do that to another child. But it explains why he's so kind of hardened. And then what I love is that what he goes throughout the game, and where his journey takes him, puts him on a path of reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you can kind of like make him more self-centered, but I also love the fact that they allow you to shape it to how you want, and how he's should be no secret now what happens to this character. It's all over the internet. But let's just say this character definitely has a death sentence. And
God, the way they did it was so period correct, and I loved it.
Because you know from playing the first one, this dude's not around.
Mm-mm.
I knew from the get-go. In fact, I called exactly what happens in the shift of characters from the get-go. I said, I want that to happen so bad. And it did, and I was very happy for that. But I was not expecting them to hit me the way that they hit it with me.
Mm-hmm.
What was I expecting? Him to go down in a blaze of glory, right?
Right.
It's not what happens.
Mm-mm.
It happens. There are 4 endings. There's a good honor, bad honor for both endings. I did not know about the good honor for the other one. I finally saw it, and I'm like, I can't bring myself to not help John, because you can go for the money.
Oh yeah. I knew that.
Okay, but there's 2 parts of that. There are 2 ways that ends for Arthur, and one of them, and both of them in low honor, Micah finishes them.
Mm-hmm.
But with low honor, with the going for the money, he gets stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
For the high honor, Micah takes off with the money.
Yep.
But in the process, Arthur takes his eye. So he has one. So when you meet up with him later on in the epilogue, he's got, yeah.
I didn't know that.
And they bring up exclusive dialogue, where Micah calls John Scarface. He's like, "You want to talk about Scarface? Yeah, your buddy Arthur did this to me."
Mm-hmm.
And it just a little bit. Did you know who voiced Micah?
Mm-mm.
The guy that voiced the doctor from L.A. Noire.
Really?
Courtney. That's the same guy.
Wow.
I know, because he does such a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give props to almost everybody who voiced in this game.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody. Did you see what Chris Pratt gave it props to the guy that voiced Dutch?
Mm-mm.
I guess he's friends with that guy. He goes, "You did a top-notch job."
Yeah, Dutch is a shitbag.
But I love...
Fuck Dutch. I want that T-shirt. He's got a plan, and I don't care.
What I loved about
Screw your plan.
Screw your plan.
What I loved about his character is that he was already kind of becoming unhinged towards the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but you still had Arthur and you still had Hosea, his core.
Well,
So-
Arthur points out that Dutch claims himself as being Arthur's surrogate dad, but Hosea is the one that Arthur more
resembles.
Yes.
With his character, yes. Now, Dutch is starting to lose it. He's starting to become unhinged because of what happens in Blackwater, right? That was
which is
his
Micah's fault.
Well, it's not just Micah. It is also Dutch's, because he killed somebody there, and it caused it all to go to shit. But Micah was definitely part of that as well. But Dutch throughout the game, slowly becomes more and more unhinged and losing control. And as I said, Arthur and Hosea kind of bring him back together. You definitely believe Dutch, that he believes what he says. He believes in the family. He believes in the group. He does. He absolutely does.
Loyalty.
But also so much, one of my favorite moments in the game is when, I think it's in Chapter 3, when you find out that Jack has been taken by the Braithwaites. And then, things have already happened, of course, with Sean. That has already happened. And then you guys are trying to recruit and trying to like, okay, we gotta get out of here. Like, Jack is gone. You know, wait, what happened? Where'd he go? I don't know. I think they took him. And someone's like, I saw a break. Wait, I think they took him there. And Dutch is like, this. We're gonna go get that boy now. All of us, right up now.
You can't save him, Rick.
This ends today. And I mean, he gets pissed. You took one of his family members.
Yep.
And then he, like, you guys ride, and it's the war drums all the way. You guys are like, oh crap, we gonna fuck somebody up. And then you guys get to this big plantation house, and the whole group, just like Magnificent Seven, walking up, and the whole group, your guns are drawn. I'm like, oh, here we go. And then
especially the place that you're at in the story at that moment, you've been waiting for an exchange like that for a long time.
Right. And here's Dutch, ever the gentleman, ever the politician when it comes to dealing with people. Says, you inbred sons of bitches, get out here. And he is ready to go. And go, you most certainly do. It is awesome. That whole segment is awesome because then how you all walked in, like, you know, war drums a beating, you leave with that house burning down. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's very cinematic.
You drag the matriarch of that family out of the house by her hair.
Killing her sons along the way.
Yep. And then she runs back into the burning plantation house. Runs into the fire and just burns alive.
And you still don't find Jack. Jack has been taken by a really well-to-do man.
A really shithead man.
in Saint Denis.
You talk about a good villain. I mean,
yes,
hands down.
But like slowly but surely, especially with the loss of Hosea, that hits Dutch hard. Mm-hmm. And then you have Micah in his ear, to where, like when they get back from Guarma, he's in his ear. He's pulling the strings because Micah's on the fucking take.
Mm-hmm.
And here's Arthur. He's been kind of doubting him more and more and more and more. And Mike is putting in his head, I think Arthur's on the take. He's putting in his head, Arthur's turned on him.
Well, I think part of the reason that Arthur is, like, the way that they wrote it, I think Arthur is starting to doubt Dutch more just for the simple fact that he's starting to replace Micah with him. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's starting to heed Micah's counsel when Arthur has had Dutch's back pretty much since the beginning.
Yeah.
Even before there's a rift between Dutch and Arthur, Dutch is already taking Micah's advice over Arthur's.
Yeah, and it's
like, hey man, what? I mean,
this dude's had your back for how many years?
Who the fuck's this guy?
And then you have the whole, like, John's like, man, I think he walked out on me. He could have done something. And then he does that to Arthur. And then he does it to John again.
Mm-hmm.
And then he won't go save Abigail. So you do with Sadie, just the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then this game did a lot of, like, heart pulling. And when you're riding back to camp for that final showdown and it's playing that song and there's all those, like, voices and thoughts of reflection coming towards him, like, this is it. I got to stand up for what's right now. Mm-hmm. If I don't do it now, then when would you ever do it? I knew in my heart, like, this is it. This is the last ride. And at that point, it got me. Mm-hmm. Like, as if it already hadn't, but it became more real.
Absolutely.
You know, and I got teary-eyed.
Well, before I did the last ride, one of the, I think it's underappreciated, but I think one of the most powerful ways that I've ever had storytelling in a video game expressed to me is through Arthur's journal.
Yes.
I spent 38 minutes reading his journal before the last ride. And then in the epilogue, when you're playing as John Marston, I spent another 38 minutes, and I read it from the beginning. And when I was reading it the first time, obviously in my mind I'm reading it as Arthur reflecting on the things that he had written. Right. And they did a very, very good job painting the picture as you're reading his journal. From when you start the game, you get a little bit of backstory on what went down on Blackwater, and then every little thing that you do in the game ends up in that journal.
Through his perspective.
Through his perspective.
You've already seen it. You've already seen it, but then you get to relive it through his words.
So if you save a guy that gets his leg caught in a bear trap, Arthur puts it in his journal. Or he draws something that was unique to him, like a mountain vista or herbs that
when
he
you
found
encounter
for
new animals.
Yep.
And, yeah.
I mean, he draws all that stuff, and it was incredibly powerful. And then in the epilogue, I thought, you know what? John got all his stuff because Arthur gave him his satchel. I opened the journal and I went back and read it from the beginning. And in my mind, I was reading it from John's perspective because that's stuff that he's never seen before. Because he's reading it from Arthur's perspective. So it's like Inception,
Right.
I'm reading it from John's perspective. John's reading it from Arthur's perspective. And it was even that much more powerful because in the epilogue, John points out more than once that I am here because of Arthur. Arthur was my friend. And it's so important because at the beginning of the game, there's not a rift between Arthur and Dutch. At the end of the game, there's a rift between Arthur and Dutch. At the beginning of the game, there's a rift between John and Arthur because John abandoned them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He abandoned his kid.
Yep.
And think about that from Arthur's point of view. He lost the boy.
Yep. And in Arthur's journal, he points out that if he was a smart man, he would have accepted Abigail's advances. He writes that in the journal.
Mm-hmm.
I should have, basically accepted that woman.
Because that could have had a family.
Yep. And, there's no one like Abigail. That's how he writes it. She's one of a kind woman.
And when John leaves, he kind of takes the spot of, like, looking after Jack. And
Mm-hmm.
Jack really, like, looks up to Arthur. And that's also another point that I've discovered. When you look at Jack's characterization in the first game and how he speaks, he sounds more like Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with how he's, like, more...
Subdued.
Well, what I mean is he sounds more gentlemanly. He sounds more intelligent
Mm-hmm.
and more gentlemanly than John, because John's kind of like a ruffian,
Right.
Yeah, rough. Like
He's
rough
just a
and tough.
street kid.
Yeah, rough and tough guy. He ain't a smart man.
Not a smart man, Gen A.
What I like is John's like I'm always honest. Maybe not always good, but I'm always honest. I've never tried to do John before.
You did a good job.
And he's a flawed character, but when you hear Jack and like, how much did Jack take from Arthur? And Arthur was really early on when he's like 3 or 4 years old, really just kind of like bringing him up. And then John comes back in the picture, and John's like, I ain't never been good at this dad stuff. Arthur's like, get your head out of your ass, boy.
Just do it. Just be a dad.
Yeah. Be a man. Because Arthur's like, I never had that chance. You do. Damn it.
Well, and so there was Arthur's original love interest, which I loved those side missions
With Mary.
All of it from the beginning to the end was all fantastic.
What I love is that from the get-go, it's like it's never really seen as this could be a rekindling.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a complicated thing because they both still have feelings for each other, but they know it's impossible.
Right.
But then at the very end, when she's like, just run away. Come with me. He already has tuberculosis. He's already going to die.
Well, and he commits.
He does.
I got one more thing to do, and then I'm
She's
coming
like,
to
okay,
you.
I'll wait. And then they end up deserted in Gorma. And
Yep.
then she's like, okay, guess you're not coming.
And then you get a letter from her. Which, did you ever read that letter?
Oh, yes. Dude, that was heartbreaking because that's right near the end of the game when he's like really like, this ain't right. This whole thing ain't right. And he's trying to get people out.
Mm-hmm.
He gets Trelawney out.
Yep.
He boots. Did you ever do the little money, like the money collecting missions after he got sick
Yes.
with Herr Strauss
Yes.
and him kicking him out of camp?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad, because I did an honor playthrough.
I did too.
I'm really glad that I did it the way that I did, because
Same.
the dialogue for the honor playthrough is so much more satisfying than the outlaw.
I love at that point, that they keep saying, Arthur, you're a good man. There's a good man inside of you, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. He knows he's a piece of shit and has been, right? And one thing that I do like is that you help Sadie Adler.
My favorite, other than Arthur, she's my favorite character
badass.
She's my favorite character in the game.
And she goes, next to Jake, you're the best man I've ever known. He's like, I know the company you keep. Competition's not too fierce. I love just he's like, stop.
He's so modest.
And she's like, no, seriously. You know?
Well, she says early on that Arthur and John are the only two people that she trusts in camp. Mm-hmm. She doesn't trust anybody but those two.
And I've actually gone through on YouTube and watched the like dishonorable stuff. And I'm like, I cannot play the game. Like, I'm so glad I didn't do it. Like him not helping Sadie. He's kind of he kind of comes off as a like a selfish fool, because then he's worried about the money. He's always worried about the money. He's like, dude, you're gonna die. Mm-hmm. But with the honor playthrough, he's more worried about getting everybody out who is sane here, who's still left, that still has a brain, getting Mary Beth out of there, getting Trelawney out of there. And Trelawney doesn't really hang around in camp too much. But he's like, go.
But he's a cool character.
Exactly.
Miss Tilly was a cool character.
Oh, I loved her side stuff. That's another character. I was really happy that a lot of these characters you get to go back to.
Reverend Swanson.
I hated him in the beginning.
I did too. And did you find his syringe in camp? Yeah.
Yes. And that made me hate him even more.
Yeah, I was like, and Dutch allows this?
Yeah, he's
like in camp,
shooting up,
shooting morphine up in camp.
And then by the end of it, he's clear-headed.
Did you see what he becomes? He takes over a church in New York.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I missed, I didn't get this sister.
Oh, I did.
Scene. I actually got the Swanson scene.
Okay, I got the sister scene.
Because I actually didn't finish that because I was like, main story. I don't care about anything else. And I like both of them because the sister one, he admits that he's scared for the first time to anybody. But for the Swanson scene, I liked it because it actually kind of gave him a farewell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you don't get one otherwise.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, because he's the low honor, she's the high honor, but if you don't complete all the side quests for the father and Saint Denis,
you get him.
Then you get him. And so that's what I did. And I'm like, I like both of them. And I wish you could have got both. But again, the storytelling in this game is so powerful. The storytelling so far this year, between the few games that we got, is on point. Mm-hmm. This game deserves every single accolade that it gets.
If God of War was not released this year, this game is hands down Game of the Year.
Absolutely.
I mean, I take your guys' hype of Spider-Man very highly.
You'll love it.
A lot higher than if I read a 10 out of 10 review online.
You'll absolutely love it.
Because, I respect your guys' opinion. But, I mean, Arthur, that's all I need to say.
Absolutely. Arthur was a great character.
Absolutely. One of the greatest characters I've ever played.
And I loved how the epilogue, one last thing with Red Dead before I move on to the grading. I loved how the epilogue basically sets you up into the first game. Mm-hmm. And I love the reunion with Charles, even Uncle. I love Sadie coming back in. And I also loved the little stuff with John and Abigail. Like when he proposes to her, and then it's so heart-wrenching because then you already know how that story ends, and these characters do not have a happy ending.
One thing that I appreciated, but I was a little bit disappointed in at the same time, as far as Arthur goes, he has the tragic love story between his child and the mother of his child, and then the tragic love story with Mary, and then the potential love that he could have had with Abigail because of the family. There's a connection there with Sadie too, and it's kind of hinted at, and there's a little bit in the journal about it. And if I was going to change anything, I would like to see those two kind of
have a sort of a fling, or
just
sort of a kindle of something?
Just an emotional, a little bit deeper of an emotional connection, because he was there the night that she lost her husband, and he was there all the way to the day that she avenges her husband. I mean, he was with her. He was the one supporting her
the whole time.
He was the only one. I mean, you could say John was too, but nobody else in camp did.
I mean, not to that extent.
No. So that's literally the only thing I would change.
So we've had a lot of big wins this year, but we've had a couple of fails. And
More than a couple.
Well, I mean, I picked 3 because the last fail is such a out of whack fail that you guys are going to be you guys are going to have a big kick out of it. So the first fail is just Blizzard in general with BlizzCon and Diablo Immortal. We talked about it here on the podcast before and how that just was not really well received. And then we rambled. I don't know if it was actually on the pre-show, if it was actually all just before we even started, about Fallout 76, and went really deep into that. And then another big fail this year was the PlayStation Classic. How
I'm really glad you brought that up.
the thing is that they could have just rode that wave, and I think there's a lot of things here that worked against them. Like the so recent releases of the new Crash remaster, the new Spyro remasters, to the original. Those 2 games should have been on the PlayStation Classic, and they're not. Whether or not it's because of that, I don't know. I mean, you have to think about licensing and all this stuff with whoever, with Activision, who owns those rights. But there are games that are on there that definitely should be. Then there's a lot of games that should have been on there that are not.
Right.
And for $100, it's
not worth it.
It's not worth it. I've said here on the show before, go get yourself a Slim model, original Slim, or even Slim 2, whatever, PS3. You can get one for like $89, $90. So it's even cheaper than this. You can get one used for about $90. There's your PlayStation 1, hooked up via HDMI. You can download them on flash sale. Like you can get like $2 or $3 a game, bunch of digital stuff as well as physical stuff to go to your favorite mom and pop resell. You can find a lot of PS1 games available, even on eBay for pretty cheap. There are some expensive games out there for the system that goes with the territory. Like,
right.
The original Persona is one reason alone to get the PlayStation Classic because it's like a $60, $70 game. That alone does not justify a $100 price tag.
Right.
So those are some of the 3 that I thought of for biggest fails.
I would throw in an honorable mention, and I know it came out in 2017, but I would still include Destiny 2 in that.
Destiny 2. Well, I mean that extended into this year as well.
Because they keep releasing expansions, and the most recent expansion, came out in 2018. It's still just as shit as it was on day one.
So the next fail is more of a what? And that is Soulja Boys getting in to the gaming industry and making a system called the Soulja Games system. And I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna bring the pictures up so Mike can see it. I think you've seen some of this.
A little bit. I haven't seen a whole lot.
All right, so I'm gonna try and find these pictures that way you guys can see them. So this is taken from a tweet, which I love the added part of that, like at the bottom.
God help us all.
So basically what you guys are seeing is that there's a consoleized version and a handheld version, and the handheld sells for $100.
Okay.
The console sells for $150, and on board are like 800 ROMs.
Okay.
So there's a problem with that. Some of those are Nintendo ROMs. He is selling those on his website. He in trouble.
Yeah, he's fixing to be.
They've already called a cease and desist.
I've heard they've already
pulled it down.
Yeah, he hasn't pulled it down. It's still there. And like for $150, this is a cheap Chinese piece of crap that he is shilling on his website. Do not buy this whatsoever. These also have emulators on that they don't have the licensing for. Now, he didn't stop there. He did not stop there because now I got to go back to our stream. He announced another console selling for $650 normally.
Okay.
But you can get it for, cheap on his website for the low price of $400. And it's called the Soulja Fuse. And this is like to compete with the next generation consoles of games. No.
People are going to buy that, Brandon.
It's another cheap piece of crap. Now, one of my favorite things is the selection of games that comes with that. As I've now pulled up. Abundant games. Play anytime. The introduction of paragraph 76 games. Starting 20 game shock. This is taken from Soulja Boy's website.
Okay.
Wow.
Abundant games. Play anytime. And that includes some games. I don't know. Actually, you know what? For that one that looked like an Xbox One S, one of the pictures up there was Lara Croft, and that game's nowhere on.
I saw that.
So, these are some of the games that you can possibly get with it. But one of my favorite things that was included is what could be. We may have to redo our greatest controller of all time next year, Mike.
Oh, yeah?
To include the Soldier Fuse controller in the bracket, because I think this just may take it. Wireless control, get rid of the shackles of the thread. Smart design, unite the mini crystal technology. Matte black tunnel empty shell. Mirror paint, cutting geometry. Aircraft grade aluminum lifting frame to create a stable atmosphere without losing the contours.
Jesus.
Wow. Wow.
Cutting geometry is my favorite line.
My other thing is what's the rest of the controller look like? That's
an Xbox One. It's an Xbox One controller.
Unite the mini crystal.
Yeah,
I can't even say it. The mini crystal technology. So crystals, much mini.
Oh, and I didn't include this on the stream, guys, so I'm sorry. But these are a list of gaming partners that are involved with the Fuse. Ubisoft, 505 Games, Rimlight, Koami Techno, Concept, among others, Codemasters. I highly doubt. These guys
Deep Silver, I doubt that. Because they're the ones that do the Metro series.
Yeah.
Now, was 505, what games do they make? I'm looking it up.
I don't know.
Because they sound familiar. 505.
I know them. I just cannot place the games right now.
505 Games. Terraria. Payday. Portal Knights. Okay.
Payday's
Absu,
a big one.
Brothers Tale of Two Tales. Sniper Elite. All right. So that's my what the fuck moment of the year. That came right near the end.
I did not expect that at all. I didn't think that's what you were going to bring up.
we haven't talked about it on the show yet because I think I could have talked about it last week, but then the Fuse thing happened in between then, and I'm so glad I waited. But now,
how many of each are you guys going to buy? I mean,
that's 5 fuses.
That's a legitimate question. There's going to be a fuse hooked to every TV in my house.
Oh man,
good lord.
So now, here at the end of the show, guys, we're going to take each main of the three, PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, and basically give them a grade. And we're going to start with Nintendo. How about Nintendo first, guys? Nintendo came out this year, and of course, you had a lot of Wii U ports. You had a couple of big titles that came out within the year. Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee came out. Smash Brothers came out and has now become the fastest-selling Switch game of all time.
Octopath Traveler.
Octopath Traveler came out this year, as well as a myriad of other third-party games came out to the Switch.
Lost Sphere.
Lost Sphere was another game that came out as well, another RPG from Square. How do you guys think Nintendo did this year?
I mean, I think I might also be getting a Switch for Christmas, which is why I didn't buy one for Black Friday, because I think I'm going to get one. If I don't get one, I'm going to be sad, like a little boy. Like a little boy on Christmas that wanted a Red Ryder BB gun and didn't get it. But I think I'm going to get it, so I already know that weekend after Christmas, I'm going to spend a lot more money on Switch games than I probably should if I do end up getting one. But I think along the same lines of what we said with Capcom and like Sony Santa Monica, I think they are steering the ship in the right direction. I think the Wii U kind of was a failure, but I'm not going to call it a failure because I think it was just something with a lot of untapped potential and flew under the radar of the other two consoles.
It wasn't very well marketed either.
Absolutely.
But with that failure, we got the Switch.
Absolutely. And they have definitely marketed well.
Mm-hmm.
They have got a lot of third-party support. I mean, who would have thought that you would have been playing Doom, portably or
Skyrim.
Or Skyrim.
Even though it's an older game, it's in your hands.
Right. And there's so much. I can walk into any store or pull up the Nintendo category on any electronics website right now and have so much third-party material, not just games, but accessories, and I don't know what to buy.
Well, here's the thing is that they really marketed this for third-party support from individual developers.
Yes.
And that really did well for them because a lot of those games are amazing games.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. In good conscience, I can't give Nintendo anything less than an A.
I think I'm going to give it a B, solely on the purpose that, like, I mean, Kirby came out this year, too. I kind of forgot about Kirby.
Yeah, I forgot about Kirby, too.
I mean, they did have some good exclusives. I'm not going to discount that. But I don't think it was as good as kind of like their first, like, kind of first year or two, you know, like, because we're in our second full year of the console, and I think the first one was just so, you know, they came out with Zelda, Mario in the same year. Mario Kart was a port, but a damn good one because, like, that game has sold double what it sold on the Wii U. So total it sold like 30 million copies, you know.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that they came out swinging in the beginning, and that really helped.
Starlink, the whole deal they have with Starlink, and you have a full Star Fox story
great
in that, you know, exclusive to the Switch.
And I heard that game was terrible, though.
You really?
Yeah.
I've been hearing nothing but good things about
I
it.
haven't heard anything horrible.
But I don't think they did anything wrong this year. I just think they didn't have as. I mean, you have Smash. For me personally, that's not as big, but for a lot of other people, it is because obviously it's the fastest selling game on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Pokemon Let's Go isn't a traditional Pokemon game, but it's capitalizing on that popularity of Pokemon Go, bringing in all those brand new people who never played a Pokemon game.
Mm-hmm.
Try this one. Not only that, but I will applaud you because both Xbox and Nintendo did something really great this year by releasing more accessible controllers. And while Nintendo was already there, but the Xbox accessible controller came out this year. But Pokemon Let's Go can be played entirely with one Joy-Con.
Yep.
Completely, or with the Pokeball.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are, you know, have any sort of ailments, have any sort of, if you're incapable of playing a traditional game, that's pick up and play. You can
Absolutely.
play that game. And I gotta applaud them because at first it's like, well, it's kind of a complaint in one way that you can't actually play that game docked without motion controls, but it appeals to everybody because what were you doing out there with Pokemon Go? You were doing this, you were moving, you were doing stuff. So it gives you the similar feel. And with Smash Brothers coming out right near the holidays, capitalizing on all the Smash hype, you know, it hasn't been that long since the other Smash hype, and people are still just as excited. Nintendo's firing on all cylinders. They've reached like almost 25 million consoles sold. They are definitely on the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and give them a B+.
So they get a B+ as well for me. I thought basically mirroring exactly what you said. There's only one reason why they're not an A. Where is my Metroid announcement? I want to know what's going on with Metroid Prime.
He's holding that against Reggie.
Reggie has teased me twice. This bitch.
You're gonna get it at
January's
Yeah.
Direct. I know that.
Yeah.
And like I said on
So
the
that'll
last...
be a next year's plus.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, it was an A+ just because I got an announcement.
Yep.
Not to mention if they say it comes
But
out in the fall.
they have really done a good job of turning around Nintendo because with the Wii U, as you both said, marketed horribly. It's not a horrible console.
No, it's not bad.
People didn't even know what it was. Like when you would go, we went into this replay, and they're like, Wii U, oh, is that an attachment for the Wii? We've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you market this better? Wii U, new console for hardcore gamers. They didn't market it well at all.
It wasn't powerful enough for when it came out
Right.
either.
Yeah.
With it being 1 year before PS4 and Xbox One, it was like right there with the 360 and PS3.
But with the Switch, they've made it to where it's right. It's definitely not as powerful as a PS4.
But it
or
doesn't
an
need to
Xbox.
be.
But it doesn't need to be. But it's right in that happy medium of, hey, this is what it is. Plus, it's portable. That's huge.
You can take a lot of games that are on the PS4 and Xbox One and make them playable on the Switch because you're dumbing down
Graphics.
details and you do have to rework it. But
I've had the stance that I don't always need to play in 4K.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I am totally
Well, you're
okay.
not playing anything in 4K other than Red Dead and the PS4 other than Red Dead and Gran Turismo Sport.
But on Xbox, your catalog's a lot bigger.
It's got a lot.
That's why I buy games for my Xbox so I can play them in greater than 1080p.
Right.
But I don't need to play every game in 4K.
Right.
If I did, I would have an Xbox One X and a PlayStation Pro.
See, in the PlayStation Pro, it really isn't that good for 4K.
Right.
Because, like I said, I just mentioned the only 2 games. And if you actually look at graphical comparisons of Red Dead 2 on each one, the Pro isn't any better than the regular
Right.
or the S. The Xbox X is the only one that you're like, okay, I see a significant difference in the detail of this game.
Right. So if I want to play Doom I mean, what does the Switch play in? Is it 720?
Yeah,
handheld.
720 handheld.
Okay.
720.
Yeah.
And 1080.
1080 docked.
But the size of the screen.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So the
So
thing, like you said, is like I think that this year it's a little lower, only because they blew their load in the beginning.
right.
Which is what they needed to do, though. They've
Yeah.
done exactly what they needed to do. They've marketed right. They've sold the games. They put out the games that everybody wants. What do you want when you get a Nintendo game, a console? You want a new Zelda. You want a new Mario. You want a new Mario Kart. And
I'd throw
Smash.
Kirby in there for sure with Smash
Kirby,
Brothers.
And
It's
see, the
Smash.
thing is that like even though those games are like a year old, they're still selling.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Those games are still selling very well, and so like on average, what B plus, A minus,
Yeah.
average.
Yeah,
averaging out
I
between
would
us.
I would say A minus for sure as far as mine goes.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're still
I
moving.
only gave it that low. I still give it a A minus and A because they've done well. They're doing very well. The third party's selling great on the console.
Mhm.
The only problem with that is that they need to make a larger memory bay for you to have those games. But other than that, they're doing everything right.
And the thing you have to remember about Nintendo too, every year from here on out for the rest of the life of the console, they're going to get more and more third-party support.
Yep.
Absolutely.
In every facet, whether it's accessories, whether it's games, developers, it doesn't matter. They're going to continue to accrue more support.
Because they're looking at 25 million sales.
Absolutely.
So you now can put your new Bethesda Rage 2 on there, which I haven't said anything that they have or have not.
Right. But it's possible.
It's possible because you know that there's 25 million players out there that might pick that up
just to have it portable.
just
And-
to have it portable.
Yeah, might buy 2 copies.
And one
Right.
for one of the other consoles.
Yep.
And like, well, I can take this on the road trip. Yeah.
Yep.
So next up, we're going to talk about Xbox. Now, on the exclusive level, they haven't had nearly as many as the other two. We're looking at Sea of Thieves. We're looking at
State of Decay.
State of Decay 2. We're looking at Forza. And then you had timed exclusives. Of course, they had like PUBG first, and and they had some other stuff. But really, on the exclusive front, it hasn't really been nearly as strong of a year for them. Although Forza was so good, it almost like brings up the rest of them and makes up for the lack of it throughout the year. Of course, Crackdown got delayed so much that it's coming out here in just like 2 months. But they were thinking that was going to be one this year too, and it wasn't. But I will say that what has really kind of helped them along with the lack of that is how good Game Pass actually is. And of course, you said before we even started, deals with gold is good.
Yep.
Their commitment to backwards compatibility, their commitment to their audience and to their gamers, and also what I feel like has helped the brand out as well is this has been the first calendar year of us getting to see what the Xbox One X can do with third-party games, as well as their first party. But for you to be able to see what 4K gaming looks like with a console that powerful.
Right.
And whereas I definitely feel like out of the 3, they're in last place for this year. But that's not due to it. That doesn't mean that they're also not on the right track. That doesn't
But
mean
they
that-
stumbled so hard.
to right this ship, you almost like pretty much they sailed right into the icebergs.
Yeah.
And now you got the dude push the damn captain out of the way, and he's going, rolling that damn,
The wheel.
rolling the wheel. And here's the iceberg, and he's going, we're going to scrape it. We're going to scrape it. And so far, it's like we haven't quite scraped, but they're so close.
Right.
And for them to get around that whole iceberg field, they've been doing so much to right the ship for the last couple of years. This year was another great step in the right direction. Getting Xbox Game Pass into the hands of gamers, showing them how good of a deal this is for you, bringing then the whole idea of every single Microsoft Xbox exclusive coming to here day one, starting this year, Forza Horizon 4 got me to play that game. I probably would have never have done it. They got me to play it. They got him to play it. They got you to play it. Maybe we wouldn't have bought it.
I would not have bought it otherwise.
There's other games coming out around that time with Assassin's Creed, with Red Dead right around the corner. Man, it's hard to go out and spend $60 right then and there.
I was very skeptical about the open world. That's what open world with everybody in it. I was like, I don't know about this. I'm not really feeling this, but
they did it. And they did it well.
It looks great.
And then
it plays great. It feels great.
The future is bright for the brand. Phil Spencer's making so many great moves with this brand to get it back up. It's hard for me to say this, but I will not be surprised when we get to the next generation of consoles if they're not leading the pack on the next go. Not due to PlayStation's failures per se.
Just because of how hard they're going at it.
Just because of how hard they're working and then momentum. Sony has a lot of momentum going on right now, and then they've been knocking out apart with a lot of their exclusives. And then they've also have a great console. But Xbox does not have a bad console. It's just as good in a lot of ways. But as we said, stumbled so far out of the gate that for them to catch up in the race, they're not going to beat them because they didn't announce, but some website was able to pretty much say definitively they've reached 40 million consoles sold, which is half of compared to PlayStation.
Didn't PlayStation hit like 85 million last month?
They just surpassed the Xbox 360 sales, which that was like 300,000 more than the PS3 sales.
Right.
So this is an interesting dynamic here, because what we have here is the Xbox coming into the Xbox One generation off their highest selling console, of all time, right? Xbox highest selling console is just 500,000 more than PlayStation's worst selling console. Because PlayStation 4 is now on the map to meet the Wii, which is at 100 million. 101 million is the PS1. 150 million is the PS2. Xbox's greatest success is just that much better than PlayStation's biggest failure.
Absolutely.
That is such a...
It's crazy to
That
think.
is crazy to think about. That's crazy to think about, and I don't mean that to to demean and belittle Xbox, because they definitely have a place amongst PlayStation. They definitely do. By all means. If anybody comes to me right now and says, I want to play games, I don't care about exclusive, what should I buy? Xbox One S. Because of the value that they give you in the third party, you can play all the great games, plus you get Game Pass. That sets you up right there.
So what's your grade?
For this year, I'm going to give them a C. They're passing, but they didn't hit me with the 1-2 with really any other than Forza. State of Decay 2 was good. I played it and I enjoyed it. Xbox Game Pass, I enjoyed the crap out of that and got to play so many cool games. But I think they are a distant third this year for sure. And that's not for a lack of them hyping things up for the future. They had a really good E3 showing this year. But, I think a lot of their strength is in third party, is in with the Xbox One X, is with Game Pass. And maybe a C is too harsh, but I'm going to give them a C.
I'm going to give them a solid B+. Okay. And I say that I put them on par or very close to on par with Nintendo, just for the simple fact of, you highlighted exactly what I was going to say about Game Pass and games with gold. And yes, they struggle in the first party market, but they announced at E3 all the studios that they picked up, and we
XO 18
yep,
Obsidian,
and we don't with Obsidian, that's huge. If I had to put my money in Obsidian's bank account or Bethesda's bank account right now, I'm sorry, I'm going to put it in Obsidian's bank account. That's just my personal opinion.
We're going to talk about that in a minute when we talk about what we're looking forward to.
That's fair. But with everything that Microsoft is continuing to try and do and how they're trying to improve, with all of the studios that they acquired, their future is so bright as long as they keep steering the ship in the direction that they are, I think that they were right along on par with everything that they did this year.
I feel that, like, while they made a lot of great moves and announcements, that's not really going to reflect until, like, next year or the year after.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, like, their overall performance, I thought they did good. I thought they did, very solid, and they're going forward. And I'm on their team, and that's something to say for me as being a really hardcore PlayStation guy. I'm rooting for them.
Well, and that's kind of where I'm at too, because they have given me so much hope for the brand when they, just a couple years ago had completely removed that. I told every person that I knew that gave a shit that I will not be buying that junk-ass Microsoft Media Hub. That's how I said it. I am not fucking buying it. I will not. And what did I do? I ended up buying one. But, Gears of War and Halo, man. Like, they announced those. It just gives me so much hope for the brand that I can't dog on them too hard. I mean, they definitely didn't do as much as Nintendo did, and Nintendo didn't do as much as I thought Nintendo should have. I mean, I agreed with both of you guys, but they didn't. They're not taking on water anymore.
Right.
So in my mind, that's B+ all day.
What do you got to say, Mike?
I'm going with a C. After what you all highlighted there, just a solid C. And I'm on the same perspective as you. I think that their shifting gears deserves an A. They realize we have the best console out. We do. It is the most powerful console. But what are we lacking? We are lacking first-party games. People are not coming to us. They're coming to us later on. So let's change that. So they've acquired all these studios, and it's like, all right, now I'm excited. What are you going to show me in the next 2 years? Because this stuff isn't going to come into a flourish until 2 years from now. Because,
if not longer.
Right, if not longer, because you don't know if these deals have been backyarded for a couple of years, and they've been developing games for them, like Fable.
There's the big rumor with Fable. Senua's Sacrifice was the developer. I can't remember that developer's name. I'm just going to say the game title because it's easy to remember. That was a surprise to a lot of people at E3.
Yeah.
Because they were very proud of, we are a totally independent studio. We did this. And then a lot of people were put off because now they've got Microsoft money behind them. But that just gives me more hope because you put out a good product all by yourself.
Yep.
And Microsoft is not EA. I mean, some people want to argue that it is. It's not.
They let you do whatever you want.
They are pushing you to do what they want you to express yourself in any way that you want to, as long as it's within reason, obviously.
Look at Quantum Break.
Thank you. Didn't do that great, but they gave them the freedom to do it. So I wasn't going to steal the show from you, but
no, that's fine.
I just wanted to highlight that even though people are unhappy about that developer being acquired by Microsoft, why judge the pony before it's out of the gate?
It's going to be good. It's going to be better than what they already had.
Yes.
And here's the thing is, what are they brewing? Because you don't know what's back there. They could have been working on this Fable deal for a while, and they might be working on Fable, and it's from that developer. Holy shit.
Right.
That's it.
Well, isn't the developer that's rumored to be doing it the ones that did Forza? Yeah.
The game that just
rumored.
came out. Yeah. So
we don't know who's doing it, but one of them studios is doing it because we haven't seen a Fable game in a while.
For good reason.
Right. I didn't mind 3.
3 was terrible. 2 was also terrible.
1 obviously is the best. Period.
Yes.
But I get it. It's just the future looks bright for them. They're going in the right direction. They're catering to the gamers. Hey, we screwed up. We really screwed up. And Phil's back here going, he's literally grabbed the reins for the person, kicked him off the boat. You're not even allowed to be here anymore.
He drowned him.
Get out.
He fed him to the alligator like Dutch.
Yes.
And it's like he is trying to save the Xbox. Microsoft is not wanting really Xbox to focus on the system. It's media. Like let's make it everywhere. Let's go everywhere. As Phil keeps saying, yeah, that's great that I'm gonna be able to do that on there. But I have no reason to buy an Xbox X. I have no reason to buy these things. Give me a reason to buy it. Forza almost gave me a reason to buy it, but then it's like, oh, it's on Game Pass. Oh, guess what? Game Pass.
But the difference is they're moving away from worrying about selling the most hardware than to expanding the Xbox brand to this, to your computer.
See, but I don't want this.
Well, but somebody might.
Well, everybody does because this is what everybody freaking plays on now.
But
Not me.
putting the Xbox on your PC, letting you play all those games.
I'm not against it.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I'm
because
not
then you don't
it.
have to buy additional hardware.
Right.
But if you're a couch player and you don't want to buy a gaming PC or build one, buy a console because it's right there built for you.
Here's my thing though. That's built. I could take an HDMI cable, run it to that TV, put my feet up.
Yeah.
Done. I've got
go.
the same thing, and yeah, I spent quite a bit of money on that, and I'm not done. But here's my thing: is that I would like to have an Xbox X here, but I have no reason to purchase one. Anything I want is on there. I'm not a big Halo guy. I just don't.
But you might be.
No.
You might be.
No. After Halo 2, they all sucked.
But it's not. It's not Bungie anymore.
Don't care. I like Bungie's. Halo 2 was the shit.
Halo 3 was Bungie.
It was Reach was good. I liked Reach. I
Reach
liked
was
the powers.
fantastic.
I really liked Reach, but as of the best one that they've ever put out, 2.
Reach is the best one in my opinion. But what I'm pointing at is with Halo, Bungie was done with Halo. They moved on. 343 took over. They were being attacked pretty much right out of the gate. No one wanted anyone other than Bungie to take a hold of that franchise. I thought 4 was really good, personally. I thought 5 was terrible. I almost disliked 5 as much as I disliked 3. And I'm the unpopular opinion guy that doesn't like Halo 3. So, but I'm very, with the direction that Microsoft is trying to go, trying to bring more people back into their stable, because I keep using the horse references, so I'm going to keep doing that, to put them back in the stable and brush it. Yeah, there, girl. But I think that when 343 goes to put out the next Halo game, that Microsoft is not going to let them put out anything subpar.
Oh, no.
It's not going to be another Halo 5 because they know, as Brandon so eloquently put it, they are so close to the iceberg, they can't afford, just as a brand, they can't afford any more failure. Any more colossal or blatant failure. So between Halo and Gears, if those two games were coming out next year, I would buy an Xbox One X. If you're a fan of sci-fi, Halo's there. If they throw in good storytelling and they finally wrap up the series with Halo 6, I got to buy one, man. I'm sorry.
I would play it. I'm not going to be fully against it.
Yeah.
But
well, you have the ability to play it already.
maybe. Are they?
I mean, come on. It would be there.
It would be there, but this is the thing. With Halo, that would change the multiplayer just unbelievable because Halo, I mean, they still have things for Halo. Like, it's a big deal.
Right.
You put that on PC, you've completely changed that because now you've got your Twitch players and stuff like that are going to outclass controllers then and beyond. Like,
yeah.
You're not even going to be standing there. But I think that they need to keep that Xbox exclusive, not Microsoft exclusive, Xbox exclusive.
If you want to sell more hardware, absolutely. If you want to bring more people to the brand, maybe not. I think it's a slippery slope either way.
I wonder is the Halo collection on Game Pass?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's available to play on PC.
I don't know. I can't say.
Because only a certain amount of games are available to play on PC.
Right.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if that will be one of those, because that would be a good one to say, let's see what happens. Let's see what you do with this.
Mm-hmm.
But we can talk about this all day. Let's move on to the...
Yeah, I didn't mean to hijack your story,
no,
but...
no, you're fine.
Hijacked. The last one to grade, PlayStation. Now, granted, because we don't... I mean, I'm not a PC gamer, and I haven't been aware of any...
I haven't been playing them, so I cannot...
I don't know.
push
I'm not a
those.
big PC gamer, so we're not going to rate.
I'm not a
Literally, that
PC...
system-
I'm pretty anti-PC gaming.
So
Literally, this has pretty much been built...
Trying to get his bone.
I'm
in
sorry.
the-
I
in
thought
the
you were trying
last
to get
couple of-
get my stuff.
Last couple of days, that's actually been almost finished, so I can't really say I was a big gamer.
This year, I feel like PlayStation has really knocked it out of the park. They kicked off the year with one of their biggest smash success exclusives ever. Followed that up with another successful exclusive from Quantum Dream in Detroit Become Human, which that's on my playlist for holiday. It did very well for Quantum Dream, from what I understand.
Yeah, I was really impressed.
And then followed that up with another great exclusive in Spider-Man, which that's a crazy game to think of as an exclusive to just PlayStation, considering like the character and everything.
Right.
But it was. So like right there, you have like 3 huge exclusives, and like in some years they haven't had that many really big ones. But then of course you also have your great third-party support, and then I've also the games with Plus have been pretty good this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in my opinion, you really only have one stumble in your step for the year, and that's as the brand you release the PlayStation Classic.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I might be missing an exclusive or two in there, but those are just some of the big hitters. They announced, and of course, we already talked about their sales, so they're still killing it in their sales.
The best sales they've ever had on Black Friday with the bundle.
So much to the point that it went out of stock on Tuesday, and they had to get restocked in certain stores by Friday. And then October was the best October in terms of console and software sales since October 2002. They are riding high, waving the flag this generation,
I want to add, you mentioned exclusives. Days Gone was supposed to come out this year.
Supposed to.
And then it got pushed back to April of next year. So
So
they
this-
would have had
an even
potentially another super successful console exclusive. So
They, to me, they have killed it in the last couple of years. And they still have their downtrodens. They announced we're finally going to be able to change our name for the first time
yeah,
since 2006. If you still have one of those old PSN names that you're just so embarrassed of but don't want to sacrifice your trophy count. So we're finally getting that.
Or pay to change. You can't pay to change, can you?
Mm-mm.
You can't.
You can't change it at all on
PlayStation,
Sony.
That's right.
No, but you will be able to change it soon. We don't know when that's coming, but they did say it is coming. So that's good. That's very good. But just from that, I feel like they matched game and set Nintendo in terms of quality of exclusives this year, and I feel like that their few missteps weren't enough to really dethrone it from having the best year out of the 3.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, totally agree.
So with that being said, on average we gave the Nintendo an A-. On average you said you gave Xbox a B+, and we both gave it a C, so that'd probably bring it up to a C+.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
For PlayStation, I think there's enough here. Hey, dog,
Him and his
messing with our life. Anyway, I think there's enough here to detract it down to an A due to their misstep and their just completely misunderstanding of the PlayStation Classic. I think it was just a money grab. they took something that fans are going to be nostalgic about and heartfelt. Is he booping you?
He's trying to.
He's trying to boop you? Why are you booping him? Dog.
He says,
I like my
that's
Tyler.
that's the thing that we do. We boop.
Yeah, you boop.
I like my Tyler.
But I feel like that, and I feel like the not just the exclusives, but the quality of exclusives this year that they had were enough to pull that. Were enough to make up for that. I mean, they're kind of ending the year on a sour note because of that a little bit. But not everybody was going to be into it anyway.
Right.
So that doesn't affect everybody. I just feel like that was such a could have had a V8. Like, what are you doing? Like, and for them, I kind of feel like it was just an afterthought. They're just like, whatever, we'll throw it out there, charge $100 for it.
Yeah.
And I really don't think it was something that they really cared about. And then when people are bitching, they're like, we don't care. So I think I gave it an A. I think I give them a solid A for the year.
Yeah, I would totally agree with 100% of everything that you just said, and there's no need for me to restate verbatim what you just said, because I think the PlayStation Classic, I don't like the trend of all of these classics. Because in my mind, if I was going to purchase something, I want to have the same experience that I had when I was 10 years old. And having such a finite library is not the same experience that I had when I was 10 years old. So I'm not going to buy it. So,
especially on that specific system.
Right.
I mean, that's where it was literally everybody and their brother was making games and throwing it on PlayStation.
Yes. So I'm not going to hold them super accountable for that mistake. What I would hold them accountable for, though, is their response. And I'm glad that you highlighted it, because I was going to. If your fan base, look at Microsoft. If your fan base says, hey, we're not a fan of this, pay attention.
Yeah.
Like, pay very close attention. Because we will turn on you in a heartbeat. We did it to Microsoft. Yeah. We did it over a decade to Nintendo.
And they did it to PlayStation when the PS3 launched, too.
Thank you.
They turned, a lot of people turned.
So PlayStation should know that a very minute mistake will be made into a mountain in a very short amount of time.
Just look at the shit that's going on with Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, but also look at like how they were painted into a corner with the whole crossplay with Fortnite, and how they were being the bullies. And we don't want to do that.
No,
we're not doing that.
It's all because, look how many systems we're selling. We're
sure,
on top, baby.
They have a fair point, but
at the same time, you don't always have to be the kid standing on top of the jungle gym.
When everybody else is... It's funny because when you have... When Microsoft and Nintendo are like, we're working together for this, you look like an idiot at that point.
When Nintendo says they're working with somebody, you look like an idiot.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple.
And when Nintendo says we'd work with Sony, they hate Sony. And, people have said, like, what if Sony bought Nintendo? I'm like, Nintendo would never sell to Sony. They hate them.
Yeah.
They would sell to Microsoft before they sold to Sony.
They'd sell to Sega before they sold to Sony.
That's true. I agree with that.
I hate to make a joke about it, but I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, they do not have a good relationship with Sony.
No.
So, why can't everybody just get along? Because Phil Spencer puts it better than anybody. We're all gamers.
Yep.
We just want to play games. Whether it's the unhealthy way that you're living vicariously, through the video game and you're escaping reality. It doesn't matter. The point is that we're all playing video games. You play on PC. I don't play on PC. I'm pretty anti-PC. I don't shit on you because you play on PC.
And then here's a point that I make. Now that I'm on PC, I can play with you on Xbox.
Absolutely.
That's what I like. And the thing about PC is it's always been the middle ground. Like, everybody's kind of like, oh, they're too expensive.
Well, you're either elitist or you're the middle ground guy. There's no in between.
And that's the problem with PC. Is like, yeah, I'm building an elitist PC. That's what I'm doing.
And that's kind of the stance that Sony is taking was taking with the crossplay stuff. Like, nope, I already climbed the jungle gym. You can't get in my box fort. Like... See what I did there with the Fortnite? I just don't get it. Like,
what does it matter?
Yeah.
It's a free to play game.
I mean, Brandon and the three of us have talked a lot about their security concerns, and that's kind of what has shied them away from it for so long. But we are approaching a time where it shouldn't matter what console that you buy. If it's a third-party game, we should all be able to play it together.
Right.
We're all using the same internet.
Mm-hmm. And here's your big complaint. Well, which controller's better? That's going to be your complaint. When all three of us, I'm playing on Nintendo, you're playing on Xbox, he's playing on PlayStation. It's, well, whose controller's better?
But then the sales are going to dictate that.
Right.
I tried to use his computer earlier to do something, to move some files. Your mouse is too sensitive for me.
And it's not sensitive enough for me.
Yeah, I can't do it. I cannot play a game with a mouse.
I can't work. I'm like...
Yeah, like Joanna has hers really low, and it's just it just trugs across. I'm like, nope. This one I haven't even made a adjustment to the precision of it. The only reason why it's that fast is because it is the top gaming mouse, and it has the most sensitive area. So when you move it, you can turn it down, but it moves.
I'd have to turn it down. But, and that's just it, You like what you like to play on. It's like, I've never liked this. This hurts me.
Yes.
This physically hurts me to play like this.
So playing with that, I'm going to do this. So when I played WoW, before I had a mouse, I would sit, see if I can do it on the screen, like this. And I played like this. Or wait, like this. So I would literally have my foot up.
Supporting your arm.
Well, yeah, kind of. But basically what it was is that I was on a end table. I wasn't in a desk. I was literally at an end table that we had out in the front room, but we were too poor, and I already paid for all this stuff. So basically all I did was play WoW. I didn't have anything else because I didn't have any other money. But I could swing $7 a month, play WoW. So I literally played like that forever. Then when I tried to play a different way, I couldn't play. I could not play. I literally was so bad that I had to reteach myself how to play the game because I had played in that obscure, awkward position.
I would be crippled.
Great.
I mean, you guys saw my leg cramp earlier. I would have to have like leg braces, and
that hurt my sciatic watching you.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is like so it was a 2-tier. So it was like here's the top. And then here's the bottom. Yeah, I'm trying to not hit it.
Yeah, careful with those USB cables.
So that's why I've been having my lap, because it's right there. But it was here and then here. So I put my foot on the second level, and slid my hand underneath, and that's how I played. I couldn't afford a mouse. I didn't even have, like, my space was only, like, let's say your laptop's it. I only had that much more space. So when I got a mouse, I had to play it on top of the... And my sensitivity literally had to be completely maxed out because I didn't have any. I mean, you're looking at what? A 4-inch by 4-inch square on a smaller. I had no room, so I had to turn it up. So that's what I'm used to. So playing games, like when I play like Call of Duty, it has to be on 10. I cannot play at anything lower than an 8. I have to be able to
May God have mercy on your soul.
I'm sorry.
But so back to what I was saying, I in good conscience, if Sony would have had 1 or 2 more first party exclusives that sold the way and performed the way that God of War and Spider-Man did,
even half as good.
Even half as good. I couldn't have given them anything less than an A+.
Yep. I agree.
I mean, if Resident Evil 2 would have came out this year in between God of War and Spider-Man, or maybe just right here at the tail end for the holiday season, it would have been an A+.
It's in January. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So, are you saying it's an A?
It's an A. I totally agree with you.
Okay.
I'm an A.
All right, so that's the only one that we agreed on. Like completely. An A for PlayStation, a C+ for Xbox,
Just think,
and
though,
an A-
what's going to happen for
Nintendo.
Nintendo, or what's going to happen for Sony. This is the big thing here for me. So Sony's been doing good. They're on top. The second Final Fantasy VII drops, it's going to dictate what happens to Sony at that point. Because if it is a failure, people are going to be pissed.
When I think the precursor to Final Fantasy VII, and I'm glad you brought that up, is
Kingdom.
what the fan reception is of Kingdom Hearts 3, which is one of my most look forward to games of 2019.
Same week as RE2.
I know, and I'm gonna buy them both. I don't.
See, I have to go with RE2. I'm not a Kingdom. If I do Kingdom Hearts, I got to start from the beginning because I've never played a single one.
But
And
you
I
get
know-
them all. I mean, you can buy Kingdom
know.
Hearts 3 and get them all.
Yep.
So, but the point that I'm trying to make is there's almost more of a devout fan base for Kingdom Hearts. There's almost a stronger group of people that want to see this story finish with
Right.
Kingdom Hearts 3 than the fans like you and Mike, or you and Brandon and myself that want to have that experience of Final Fantasy VII again. It's one of my least favorite Final Fantasy games. Okay, that's an unpopular opinion coming through again. I'm a 9 guy all day. Okay,
I'm not going to argue with you. 9 is phenomenal game. And
But
it is
9
a better story.
well, 9 was the first Final Fantasy game that I played. I
Right.
played 9, 10, and then I went back to 7.
7.
You guys both started with 7, so it's a little bit different of experience, and it's not apples to apples. How was your bath? Do you feel refreshed?
Very much so.
Would you like a towel? But
Dog meat just completely.
Annihilated.
Annihilated.
Your face.
I get booped, and then you get. I don't even know what
And then
that
I
was.
I get catted.
Yeah.
So this is what he does. He sits here and he's like, "Hey, touch me."
He just made love to me.
Yeah.
Hey, he did.
Like,
And you know what's funny?
do I need to call another adult?
You know what's funny? He doesn't even know what love is. He's never made love to anything.
I want to know what love is.
Anyway, I just think that if Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out and it flops or it stumbles, it's going to do one of two things. Sony's going to look at it and say, okay, we really need to pump the brakes here. 7's going to get delayed even more
Yeah.
because they cannot, in good conscience, let that one fail. Or B, they'll just say, you know what, we're not going to take the risk.
Well, you got to remember, 7 is a timed exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It will be coming to the Xbox, so that's not really, in my opinion, going to be so much of a factor on PlayStation. They want it to do well, and they got that deal because S7 was such a iconic game of their past.
Mhm.
But for them,
I forgot that it was a timed exclusive.
for them, that's a cherry on top for them. They're looking at next year. Of course, we have all the big rumors of them possibly revealing the PS5, but then we also have Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, which might be coming out in June.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big rumor, and The Last of Us Part 2. There's rumors that Last of Us Part 2 could actually be coming out next fall.
Mhm.
I'm banking on probably next spring, but with them pulling
Like,
out of E3,
Not this upcoming spring, but the following spring.
like,
2020.
spring.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Because I think I would be more surprised that it would be ready to go by the fall. If they do get it ready and it's going, I'm on board.
Yep. Sign me up.
Sign me up. But with them,
Oh, yeah.
but with them
I'll
announcing,
take 2.
Yeah. With them announcing possibly the PlayStation 5 probably next August or September, and then they're going to have PSX next year, so they're pulling out of E3 altogether, just that way they can hold true to themselves and have that announcement fall to themselves because they know they're going to get the eyes on it.
So since they pulled out of E3 and they're doubling down on on PSX, do you think they're going to have a bigger PAX presence as well?
But potentially, because I think they're going to wait until I think they're going to do like they did with the PS4, and they're going to reveal it. Because here's the thing. The rumor is spring 2020 launch or fall 2020 launch. Do you know what 2020 is for PlayStation?
No.
1995.
Oh, yeah.
25-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So, in September, 1 year out, you announce PlayStation 5. Here's what it can do. Here's a game or two what looks like running on it that may be coming to it, and maybe one that is guaranteed to come to it. We'll see you at PSX. And then that PSX, they hit you with all this great stuff, right?
God of War 2.
Yeah. First look at God of War 2. Horizon. This is what's coming down for Horizon.
They got a new Horizon. I guarantee the new Horizon is going to be.
And then, maybe not at launch, but here's some stuff coming, and then here's our launch window stuff. Meanwhile, you have all that time between September of 2019 and September of 2020 to get Last of Us Part 2 out to be that swan song for the PS4.
Yep, which you and I have talked about a lot because that's how it was with the PlayStation 3. That was the end of the PlayStation 3's era. They remastered it for the PS4, got so many more fans involved in it, and now there's so many more people invested in the franchise. It doesn't make sense for me that they don't release it towards the tail end of the PS4 or the very beginning of the PS5. But if you do it the tail end of the PS4, just remaster it the same way you did with...
the thing is, you may not have to remaster it.
Right, because they would be dumb not to do backwards compatibility. We've talked about this in length.
5 enhancements like you have with the X,
yes.
It's like 4K. Now, if you do it like that and you have PSX to really hammer in and all these new announcements and all this great, they have a big PSX, then leading up to, if they launch in September, which... Come on, that's like your 25th anniversary of the PS1 launch. Then you have E3 for another big spectacle, reminders, this game, that game, launch, yes, PS5.
So they pull out of it this year to double down on PSX and possibly PAX.
And then E3.
And then next year, E3. Or the next E3 after this upcoming one, then they go hard into it again.
Well, because you'd be so close to launch.
So you basically have 3 conferences that you hit back to back. Yep. I don't know how you could explain that to anyone and it not make perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense. It's just like,
it doesn't just make perfect sense; it makes perfect business sense.
Yes. It's just like what I said about, like, I wanted to hear more about Metroid, but what is the smart move to do with Nintendo? The next day you're launching Smash. Throw everything out at Smash, because it's your big title.
Right.
Do it. Metroid's kind of one of those things, like, really core gamers are like, I love that game, love that series, but it is not making or breaking the Switch at all.
Right.
Smash has the potential to boost your sales by a couple million because there's people that have been waiting
if
just
not more
for
than
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, like you said, it makes smart business sense.
Yep.
And the big rumor about the complete reverse compatibility with 1 through 5, they would be smart to do that, especially with the failure of the Classic. Hey guys, all those games you couldn't play in the Classic, you can play them here, and do the backwards compatibility, kind of like how Microsoft did it, where you use the disc as more of a code. So it's not every game on the library, but you slowly start putting these games out there, talking with third parties. Hey man, you own the original Crash. Can we put those PS1 games on there as like a part of our legacy?
Dino Crisis,
Resident Evil, Final Fantasies, they're all there. Then, of course, you have the 2 library, the 3 library, and then the 4, which you can have, with updates. Like, say you have a PS4 game, it downloads like a PS5 update to it if the developers want to put that on there, where it completely puts that game with the full capability of updates that the 5 can do with.
Yeah, I love it.
It's the perfect time. Right now, they're looking at Xbox going, they're doing a lot of backwards compatibility. They're getting a lot of praise for this.
And it's really, really working for them.
Yes. And here's the thing. 25 years. This is the perfect landmark to go. Everything you've ever had in a PlayStation, right here, right now. Yeah, it might be $600, 4K capable, but everything you want is here now.
If I could play... throw any random PlayStation 1 title out there. Let's
Vigilante 8.
Okay, bam. If I can play that, or if I could play the original Driver.
Yep.
Let's highlight that one. If I can play the original Driver the same way that I did when I was like 7 years old, when I bought it for like $6, out of a bargain bin, and have as much fun as I did when I was 7 years old on my PlayStation 5, I'll pay $700 for it. Because I have 25 years worth of material.
Yep.
That's totally justifiable in my mind.
Absolutely.
If they did that, I would be... I was first for a PS4 anyways, but I'd be first in line for one. That's the perfect way to do that because it's like, yeah, we're going to work on getting them all, but like the 3 plays almost every single PS1 game. There's no reason why that 4 should cannot do that.
Right.
There's no reason why, especially with that processor that's in that 3 that was horrible to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. Now you've got one that is rounded with everyone else. No reason why.
The only reason why I can't play it is that there's no CD drive in the
Right.
PS4.
Yeah.
And that's why.
So spend $11 on Amazon and put one in it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, to be fair, it's like I can kind of see them going the route of the Xbox because I like the way they do it, where you download it to your hard drive, just like all your other games. So that way everything feels the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like it plays it from the disc, because nothing plays from the disc anymore.
Right.
It just uses it as a CD key. So therefore, when you're going forward with your physical collection, you would just use it as that. And I hope they do it. But if they do not, let me just state that there will be no excuse whatsoever that the 4 is not completely accessible within that console.
The only thing that I would allow if they were going to do that, the 3. The PlayStation 3 architecture is significantly different than any of the other ones.
Hopefully the 5 would be able to emulate it.
Hopefully I'd be able to emulate it, but I wouldn't be super upset if it didn't, because I would understand that
they're able to emulate it through PlayStation Now.
Right.
And because that's the one console that you can't download those games to your PS4 and play it from the PS Now. It's like PS2 and PS4 games. But by the time you get to the 5 and its architecture and how powerful it is, would be powerful enough to emulate a 3 game. I hope, and there's a lot of hopes, but I really see good things next year for Sony. I see good things for everybody, really, but especially for Sony.
I
Going
see
forward.
Prime.
We might see Prime. But with that being the case, we have gone quite some time.
We knew we would.
And
Hello.
are you all right there, fella?
Yeah, I'm good.
Hopefully, his boss Mike probably picked that up for miles out. But I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to this whole episode of the podcast. It's been one of the longer ones in a while. I want to thank Tyler once again from Podcastrophe. I didn't plug that earlier.
That's okay.
You're the co-host, one of the co-hosts.
We now have 3. There's 3 of us now.
Yeah, there's now 3 hosts of Podcastrophe. You can go check that out on podcastrophypod.com.
I thought you was going to say Podcastrophe.
At podcastrophypod.com and download them on your favorite podcast service. I think you guys are on iTunes now.
iTunes and Podbean.
iTunes and Podbean. And, of course, you can also check them out on their Facebook page and on YouTube as well.
And we're streaming on Twitch now.
And you're streaming on Twitch. And you guys also stream every single live show every Tuesday evening over on Twitch and on Facebook Live. Brought to you by the Journey to Comics Network. You guys do a great show. Hopefully, me and Mike will be there on your show within the new year. I think we're both going to come over and
I'm digging that.
crash. But
I think it should happen.
but thank you so much for coming back to the show.
And that'd be a packed room.
It would be.
All 5 of us in there.
Be spicy in there.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Sheer
Think of how long
chaos.
that podcast is going to go.
Yeah,
It's
no.
not that warm in there, so I mean,
Well, it
that's
is
ju-
a basement, so it is a lot cooler.
that just means that we can go that much
There
longer.
you go. But I definitely want to thank you so much. You were definitely an important part of the show this year. You definitely helped keep this show afloat. During a certain period of the spring and going into our transformation into the live streaming. You were a very important part of that. And
Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for being there for us, and we're always there for you, and you're always welcome here.
Just show up. Wednesday, it's happening. If you want to
Just kick down the door.
Just kick down the door and walk in. My wife's going to go, what the? Oh, it's just you.
Hey, and then I'm gonna get booped.
You
And then
get
I'm
moved,
then I'm gonna waddle up here. May or may not be wearing pants, but it doesn't matter.
There was one
Pants
episode
are always optional.
There was one episode that we were doing a long time ago, and me and him were just sitting there talking from the camera, and all of a sudden you see Rob. He snuck up the stairs and leaned around the corner. He's like, what?
Oh hi!
Like, I knew Gretchen was here, but I didn't know he came with him. We were like, oh, hi. How's it going, Rob? He's like,
I don't know what to do.
it was funny. But thank you so much, man. We so enjoy having you here. Mike, you're always here.
Yep, this is my house.
Yeah, this is your house.
This is my house.
Mike, it's been so good. It's been a great year. It's been a great year for us. So it's been a great year in gaming.
Yes.
And for all you guys out there, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed it, please give us a subscribe and follow wherever you do. We're available at GameAddictsPodcast.com. And there you can find links to all of our
He's going on.
all of our stuff. And you can find us on your favorite podcast service. We're on audio. Of course, we're live on Twitch and Facebook Live every single Wednesday evening, about 4 to 6. We start with a pre-show and then hit on into the main show. Stop by and chat with us, and we'll try and see it and comment if we do see it. Sometimes we're having issues with 2 different chats. But we will try to see it, of course. And then, of course, if you missed the live thing, it's fine. We're on audio, like I said, and on video over on YouTube on Fridays. And, of course, on social media, Game Addicts Play on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're all over the place, man.
And every once in a while we do a plus.
Every once in a while we do a plus over there, exclusive to Facebook Live when we're feeling, feeling hoppy. We definitely do that and try to hit up with basically the Game Addicts Weekend Update is what that is, just hanging out with us. And then, of course, if you're hearing this next week, no show. Sorry about that. 109 is going to be exclusive.
You got almost a 3-hour show on this.
Yeah,
one, so.
Exactly. 109 is going to be exclusive to 2019.
It's beefy.
This is a pretty beefy episode for sure. But I will be streaming over the holidays over on Twitch, playing some games. So feel free to drop in and say hello and give us a follow there to help grow our following.
I will hopefully be working enough to finish this off.
Yeah. This.
Yee.
That nobody else can see but us.
And then the audio audience is like, finish what off?
Yeah, the PC.
The PC,
those,
exactly.
Yeah,
your descriptions.
I don't have those.
It's the podcast. We need to be descriptive. Anyway, guys, until 2019, thank you guys for joining us for this year. It's been great, guys. I've been Brando.
I've been Mike.
And I've been Tyler.
And we'll see you next year, guys. Game on and have a good one.